Hello, chat. How are you guys doing? Oh, baby. It's Wednesday. It's motherfucking Wednesday. What is up, everybody? We're gonna do some Pathfinder. We're gonna continue our magical shenanigans adventures into strange Aeons.
That's
here.
fucking teamwork!
First, Yafetikaba gonna take the opportunity to jump in the squiddy pool before we get started here. 30 months in a row. That is 2.5 years of squiditude. You were the shiniest squidling. Thank you for your continued support. Glad you're enjoying the content, my friend. So, good news. It's Wednesday and we get to play Pathfinder, and that's awesome. Bad news. It doesn't look like we're gonna have Shenmue for a while. Hopefully he will be able to turn up later. But I guess at the moment we're kind of riding the hopefully. Hopefully he will be able to turn up later. So I want to stick around and watch this. Pathfinder's fun and interesting, but I missed more than one stream and I have no idea what's going on anymore. Good news. We're kind of at a transition point here where you could honestly start the story right here and you'd be okay. They're switching into a whole new gear here and going in an entirely different direction, so it's a good place to jump back in. Fervent Fiend. It's one of the better places you could show up.
I mean, yeah.
She's not funny.
yeah.
She's a fucking memer.
No, I mean, of course she's a
That's
meme.
why she's funny to you.
I mean, she is
Yeah.
funny, too.
That's
Who?
bullshit. Barbara Dunkelman from Rooster Teeth. She just literally just spits puns constantly.
Exactly. What do you
she's pretty
mean?
great.
Yeah, it's
and
Zindern's dream girl.
Of course Zindern's excited about this.
Yeah, it's his
Because
dream girl. She's
why
a blonde.
wouldn't he be?
She's a blonde memer.
I mean,
That's, like,
she's also
attractive.
Jewish, though, so, like, that's an issue.
Oh wait. Oh fuck, I didn't know that.
Oh shit.
Oh damn, cut
I
it
mean,
down.
I don't think she's religiously Jewish, but she's
Oh,
definitely,
okay.
like,
That's not relevant.
ethnically got a good bit of Jew.
Whew.
That's not. I thought that was
Oh,
relevant.
Wait, that's like I don't fuck with people who believe in the religion. Ethnically, though, they're fine. That's a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have the opposite of the proper Ubermensch mindset.
Yeah,
there,
well,
Zindern.
you know what? Hitler's dead, and so is Nazism. So whatever
Boom.
I do,
Got
it
him.
Nazism is alive in America, alive and well. They're gonna kill us all.
Yeah, that's not real.
Yeah, have you seen the political uproar, the absolute wrong thing sin? Destiny 2 dared to include part of the flag of Kekistan
Oh yeah,
and
I
its
saw the
sin.
Kyrgyzstan flag. And then
Wait, what happened?
Oh, they just put out this big thing where they removed a piece of armor from Destiny 2 because it had a design on it
flag
that
of
kind of
Kekistan?
resembled part of the flag of Kekistan.
I didn't
That's
even know
like-
that. Oh man, it totally looks exactly like it.
It does. It does look literally exactly like the Kekistan flag. But
There's like one extra line.
holy shit. Oh, I love 2017. Just
How
when
is
you think
Twitter
you're
still
out.
free?
What?
How is Twitter still free? Like fucking Destiny 2 removes Kyrgyzstan and Ted Cruz likes porn on Twitter.
2017, the gift that keeps on giving.
I
Just when
wanted
you think it
to-
surely has to be out of Steam. Nope. We're still going.
Keeps going.
We are still fucking.
If anyone ever doubted that Trump's presidency would be the age of memery, they've had their answers now.
God damn it.
I hate everything.
Oh, I love the internet. Oh, it's great. Yeah, perfect. No, it totally does. It
It really
straight
does.
up
It-
looks
it-
like
yeah,
it's got like one extra bar in there, but it pretty
Yeah.
much straight up looks like the Kyrgyzstan flag. It's
Do
the
you
right
think they
color
just
and
found-
everything.
Do you just found the guy who decided and just instantly fired him?
I mean, well,
Yeah, the guy
probably
that
not.
said he
A
made
whole
it himself.
Kekistan armor set, like.
Yeah,
The
I
guy,
don't
he
know.
like made it himself, and they're like, "So, you made it yourself, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." They're like, "Get out of here!"
I have
Fuck out
power
of my
of Kek
face.
within my bones.
Get out.
Yeah, well, you're also gonna have the power of meal tickets.
Boom.
Fucking loser.
Sir,
Is a
this
racial slur for
America. We
Kekistan
have nothing
khaki?
for this. Keki.
Nice.
I imagine there probably is a racial slur for Kekistan somewhere, because that's the entire point of that thing, is to just be a giant fucking meme.
Government, get out, Ree.
Government could out.
The pain.
That is the best one. Anyway, so, like I said, we're not going to have Shenmue for a bit. Hopefully he will turn up later. He is
Turn up.
unfortunately delayed because his boss is...
Being
apparently, I'm a little confused. I guess Shenmue just doesn't have, like, a real people schedule. And they just kind of have him work whatever the fuck they feel like. And he apparently doesn't have any real say in when he works.
That's real fun. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to corporate.
Yeah, it's pretty AIDS. But hopefully he'll be here in a bit. Until then, last time on Pathfinder, we finished up our activities in Lowell's Dreamlands Lodge, the Versex Scholars Respite, as it was called.
Oh wait, that's what it was called.
Oh wow.
Were you not
That's
here
a
for the
hell of a
first
name.
session when you got there?
That
was the sign on the door.
I don't think I was.
I mean, it was
I-
literally only the sign on the front. It said Versex Scholars Respite. And
No, he was
Can I-
taking a crap for 6 hours, remember?
Yeah,
Can I-
I think
can I
it
come
was
with one last,
7. Dude, it was
one la-
bad.
One last meme and then I'll get into character.
anyway, my friend.
Yeah, I like to imagine that Shinmu actually works in like a wrestling conglomerate, and his boss just booked one extra cage match. And
Yes.
it's delayed.
That's not even a
Yes.
meme. That's just true.
No,
Like-
yeah, it is. Because then
Shenmue's
he,
a hired assassin.
Oh,
no. He said he personally came to shit on him. So he got up and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna get back in the ring today. And he fucking jumps in the cage match and he's like, we're doing one more. Get back in the ring. And they fucking wrestle to the death. If he wins, he gets to be the boss.
I mean, we all know Shenmue is just an alias for like Roman Reigns or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to believe. I want to believe. I want a picture of that. I want that fucking poster that's in Mulder's office, but instead of a UFO, it just says Shemu's fucking face on it. And just an entire, like, lit up WWE stage arena that says, I want to believe.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, anyway. Somebody Photoshop that. Where's Arcadis? Arcadis is good at Photoshopping things. I actually want that so we can send it to Shemu, because I want to know what his reaction to that would be, because generally it would be glorious. Out of the context of this conversation. Anyway. Last
Did
time
we get the
Pathfinder.
snake dab art?
That's
Ah.
hard. That takes work. That's not like...
Legitimately, we're getting it.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Because one of the squidlings whispered me and asked for like pictures of tokens, and he fucking draw it.
They're gonna make the beat up. Oh god, I'm so ready for the snake
Yeah,
dab art.
me too.
Which brings us back to last time on Pathfinder. You guys met Aki, which I'm going to go ahead and imagine that the Dreamland shade of Miaknian, though it did, to be fair, seem to be more cognizant of its own situation than most of the shades. It seemed to understand that it was, like the Yellow King, that it was a separate part of Miaknian and not entirely its own entity. Was probably nothing as anyone was expecting him to be, I would imagine. Contrast to a lot of the other shades, Aki was very much friendly. And I guess
Bro?
up to what determination at this point, what you actually believe, whether or not he even intended anybody any amount of harm. He definitely accidentally, possibly intentionally, hard to divine his intentions, may have injured some people via experiments, but he didn't seem to be aggressive or didn't seem to have any particular ill intent. And
He just wanted to party.
after his party was done,
The party's over. Sorry.
helped direct you guys to Neruzavan,
All right, Papa Roach.
which I think I might have told you wrong last time was west. It is definitely to the east. I don't
Oh.
remember which direction I told you. But Neruzavan is out to the east. And if
Okay,
we
yeah,
hop...
that makes more sense.
Oh shit, I don't have I don't have a scene for the NRC map anymore. I was just gonna show you real quick. If you have the NRC map, off the right
Quick,
side...
jump back over to Skull and Shackles.
Off the right side of Kadira, where it just kind of hits the edge of where that mapped area is, there is another continent called Kazmaran, and it is connected to. What continent is the Inner Sea region?
Isn't
Is
it
it
like
Garunda?
Isn't it Garand and Kazmaran and Avista?
Garand, that's it. It's If it's any amount of Kazamoran, it's a very, very small amount of Kazamoran.
I don't think there's any Kazamoran, but I think it's like the southern tip of Avistan.
I think Kadira might technically be part of Kazamoran. But Garand is mostly what it is. That's the one I was looking for. It's mostly Garand. If there's any part of Kazamoran in there, it's Kadira, the city you guys are currently in. Well, the continent, the country you guys are currently in. Third time's the charm. Country you guys are currently in Kathir, is I think technically part of Kazamoran. And Kazamoran extends off to the east very far. It actually goes much further east than Garand goes to the west. So there's a further distance to the east from where you currently are to the next ocean than there is to the Shackles. And very, very far off to the southeast, across just the endless expanse of deserts and sands and their increasingly scattered settlements, is the Parchlands. It's where the deserts descend into just unknown wastes. And it's beyond, it's so deep into just the abyssal deserts that nobody really settles there. It's just too far from everything. And that was what you hit the knowledge check for last time. You know there are a bunch of ogre-like ash trolls or ash giants that live out there, as well as Gertablilu that frequent the desert as a whole. You know there's one of the larger tribes of them called the General Parchlands area its home. And between the distance from civilization and those two relatively aggressive and dangerous races living out there, there's not really any maps or charts of the Parchlands. So all you have to go off is what is effectively a series of directions, a series of landmarks that Miaknian himself had to try to locate Naruzavan within the desert. So, after you got that map, you said your goodbyes to Aki, left on, well, as good terms as you can, as you can with the guy who almost accidentally murdered you. And you wake up.
We left him at Forcon.
Yeah, he's not
He's
dead.
alive.
That is categorically not dead. You wake up back in your hotel room in Kathir, in your masterful suite, which is now calmed by the Mysterium, as thanks for, saving their everything. And as you wake up, your dreams that you were currently just adventuring and questing on these projection forms of yourselves transition into something different, something more akin to a vision, which at this point you guys are it's honestly
fucking teamwork.
it's weird in and of itself to think that at this point these visions that keep occurring to all of you aren't even that out of the ordinary anymore, because you've had 4 or 5 of them now since meeting the Mad Poet, and the first one getting that same noise like a record scratching and the crackling as it starts up. And as you go to awaken from the Dreamlands, you instead awaken in a desert. Is it the Parchlands? Don't know. Is it still the Dreamlands? Still unclear. But you are on the edge of a massive body of water. It goes far enough into the distance you can't tell if it's a lake, an ocean, what it could possibly be. And you sense a presence. You can't see it. You can't see any indication visually that there's anything there, but you just know that in the center of this body of water, offshore, deep in the depths, something is awakening. And not only that, it's crawling towards you, towards the shore, whatever it is. And just the mere presence, just knowing this abomination is there, fills you with a nearly incomprehensible dread. As you compose yourselves, at the shoreline, you see a group of people, 5 of them, wearing black hooded robes, facing away from you, hands clasped in front of them as if in prayer, towards the ocean. None of them are saying a word, but as you watch, you see the surface of the water start to roll and bubble. And some dark mass starts to arise from the water.
Oh, Lord.
And the 5 figures turn around. And the center one reaches up and lowers his hood, and you see it is, in fact, Count Lowell's. And at his side, two to each wing, you see the other 4 members of your party. So each of you is seeing the other 4 people standing alongside him. And you hear the voice, the female but somehow not human that you've heard in so many of these visions. He is awakening. You must save me. Take me from this place and I can help you, but time is running out. The hourglass is nearly empty. The doom of this world is on its approach. And you hear a tolling bell, as you have at the end of many of these visions, and once again see a flash of that city that Elder Lythine theorizes is Okino. And you see this time a massive cylindrical fortress rising out from the side of this sprawling city, with nearly no windows, so much as just arrow slits circling it all the way up and down. And you hear one more time, you must save me before it is too late. And you all snap back awake in your beds in the end.
Hate it when that happens.
This happens to you often?
Notably,
More often than we would like.
Omereth, you would not see this vision. But the other 4 people would see Omereth as one of the 4 people alongside Kalos.
Oh. That's not good.
Or rather, my bad. You would see Winter. You would see Winter as part of this. Omereth doesn't get this vision. Omereth just wakes up like, "Hey guys, how you doing? That was a pretty cool adventure."
Oh.
And the rest of you guys have that vision. I forgot you're not Winter anymore. I still gotta get used to you being Omereth now.
I'm gonna give him the finger guns. We're good.
Alright.
I mean, all that seemed pretty familiar. We've been through that before. Not exactly the same, but when we got the Jade Idol.
What Jade Idol?
There's a Jade Idol that we had to retrieve in the Dreamlands, and there's a monster, old one, by the city we were in.
Bokrug.
Oh.
Wondrous times. You,
That's not good at all.
maybe a knowledge planes, but I'm fairly certain you would at least be familiar passively
With the name,
Bokrug.
yeah.
Does he remember the name?
Let's see, you remember the name? Plains, you said, right?
Yeah, planes. Because he's very definitely an outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would definitely be familiar with. I mean, Bokrug is not anyone who had spent any amount of time researching any of the occult or these great old ones would be familiar with Bokrug. He is one of the more well-known. He's actually not an outsider, but he's extra planers and he's an old one, so I'll give it to you.
Sweet.
You would be familiar with basically any of the core concepts of his being, the legends, as well as the little bit that is actually known about this giant water lizard that you know he lives in the dimension of dreams. As a physical being, he can transition between planes more or less at will, just like pretty much any other old one. And you know that he lives in the lake. You'd actually pretty much know what happened to the party, more or less. You know he lives in that lake where the party went in the Dreamlands, and that he defends those weird little fish people and considers them his children.
Yeah.
The party encountered. So, and anything, if they would elaborate at all on their adventures in the Dreamlands and what happened with Bokrug, it would all line up with what you know of Bokrug.
Okay.
Now, it would at the least be interesting to confirm, but at least have first-hand accounts of people that had met him and not died horribly or gone insane, because that is very rare.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
super impressive.
one of us definitely did go insane.
And did kind of die.
Touche.
Sort of.
Fair.
But anyway,
He's better now. Don't worry about it.
I hope so.
Darius probably doesn't want to talk about it.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I would imagine.
Mentioning
No.
it made Darius angry, and now he won't talk for the rest of the session.
Shame.
He's just gonna
At
brood in the
least-
corner for the next hour or
At
two.
least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you guys are willing, I would like to take a little bit of time and a little bit of currency. Go make some scrolls, write those up real quick, and maybe learn a couple new spells before we head out on a very grand adventure. But ultimately, it's up to you. 'Cause I do not have a fat sack of cash.
Well,
I
I
know.
mean, we only have
Welcome,
35,000
the
some
Squiddy
right now,
Pool.
so
you
Only.
do have a pretty healthy amount of monies right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking to just make scrolls and get spells. I'm not looking to buy super magical items or anything like that.
But what is it you guys are actually planning to do right now? Because you have, of
That's
course, a map to Neruzavin, but you also have these visions that seem to be, in no uncertain terms, calling you towards Okino, which is in the other direction, on an island out to the west off the shores of Kadira.
Which one is closest?
Well, Okino is much closer than the Parchlands. The Parchlands, I mean, short of greater teleport, which means fundamentally they're the same distance, they are one standard action away from you. As far as actual journeying, it would only take you maybe 2-3 days to take a ship, a mundane ship, out to Okino, whereas the Parchlands would be several weeks journey away.
Can you cast?
or
Greater
we
Teleport?
could get
Can I cast Greater Teleport? I'd have to go learn it. But yes.
Alright.
the Mysterium head guy who said he would greater teleport us there to do it.
I mean, it'd also be good for me to learn.
Yeah, just so we have it.
Bro.
Well, I discussed that real quick. I definitely left book 5 on the kitchen counter, so I'll be right back real quick.
Oh,
And you'll
God.
have it.
I mean, the vision told us to go to Volcano, did it not?
Yeah, it seems like there's some feminine entity there that wants us to rescue it.
She said she could help us.
If the plot pulls us there, we should go there.
Oh no. I can't cast Greater Teleport.
Too high level.
Yeah, 7th level.
Hmm.
Feels real bad.
So
You
what
guys
I'm
have next
saying
level,
is
right?
you need some XP.
Yeah.
Not just
you guys
that.
at next level, right?
I believe so. When do we
Just-
get? We're 12 right now, so 13 I
Yes.
get. 7th
You are
level.
12,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, at 13 I will be able to cast that, but as it stands.
If we bring a scroll of Greater Teleport with us, you can learn it from there, right?
I imagine. I mean, I can learn
Yes.
7th
You
level
can,
spells, can't I?
You can
Just
learn
like
a
in
spell.
I don't think you can learn a spell you can't cast.
I don't believe you can learn a spell you can't cast. If you
Wait,
had a
why?
scroll of greater teleport, then you would be able to learn it from the scroll when you leveled up.
I
You would
think
just-
you can still write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
if I
actually
have magical ink and I
yeah,
have the
I
how to
see
do
no
it.
reason, I guess, that you can't write it into your spellbook.
Yeah, I just have to pay for it regularly. I just can't ever use it until until I level up. So yeah, like, because I mean that would make sense. Like it, I can't do high level like crazy math.
Yeah,
but
it's
if
'cause
you,
it's not
I
like
could
you
write
don't
it down
have
in
the-
a book.
Yeah, it's not. Well, also you can do it. You just do not physically have good
arcane
enough of a
power to do
control of
that.
magic, and
Yeah.
enough power to make it happen. But I mean, you have the int. You only need 17 int to be able to understand how to cast a 7th level spell. So
Yeah,
you
there we
have
go.
more than the necessary int to
Yeah.
comprehend the magic. So yeah, I don't see why you couldn't write it down. Actually,
Ah.
you
Oh,
can
yeah.
definitely learn it. You just can't cast it until you have 7th level spells.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Because there's different wizards who start with like 4th level spells in their book at level 1.
Yeah, just to
can't
have
use
them.
it yet.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll look up the pricing for that so I know what it is.
And then, as a reminder, I know last week, just to make sure we don't miss out on stuff between sessions, I know you guys were talking about wanting to use the Mysterium's resources to try to research the Parchlands and see what little, and possibly Neruzavin itself, and see what little there is known about it.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Because while you have the Mysterium, you might as well use the Mysterium.
Exactly. Yeah, which I can do the learning thing where I roll dice at a bookshelf and hope to gain the knowledge I need.
Yes.
Fight books.
Yeah, fight books. So
you
yeah,
can spend
unless
how
this
many
is
days
wrong.
of researching you want to, basically.
Yeah, unless this is wrong, it is 490 gold
That is
for
correct, yes. 490
7.
gold to write down a 7th level spell. 490 gold worth of magical supplies.
Yeah, exactly. Magical ink and all that jazz. So that's fine with you guys. I'll just write that down so I can cast it another time. And then we can get the.
And the
Clear.
Mysterium, like I said, you don't have to pay, obviously, any cost to copy the spells other than what it needs to literally write it to your spellbook.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Instead of
Mysterium
saying,
has
hey,
all
now's the
arcane
time.
spells up to 8th level available.
Oh, wow.
If you want to learn any of them.
Yeah,
It does
true.
not have 9th level spells.
Interesting. Probably because.
You know, honestly,
Yeah.
the Mysterium probably has 9th level spells too. I'll give you, it has some 9th level spells, so if there's one in particular you want to look for,
Oh,
that you
no.
want to
no,
learn,
no,
let me
thank
know.
you.
But,
Gotcha.
You can roll
it
for it.
wouldn't have. It would be incredibly rare. Like, I'm not sure that anywhere on Galarian outside of an incredibly powerful wizard's personal collection you're going to find all 9th level spells.
Oh, yeah, no, not all of them.
But I'd
I mean,
say you got like a 25%
Good
chance
chance,
of finding
yeah.
whatever the 9th level spell you're looking for.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they have a few.
So I will, again, if it's fine with you guys, I'll go ahead and note that down in my spell book for the price. So we'll have it later, and then I'm going to look for some other lower level spells as well, and then some scrolls.
So this spell is high enough level that since it's a difficult spell and it's beyond your power to cast, you do need to make a spellcraft check
Oh, to
To-
fully understand it.
to
I'm gonna write it down.
see if you properly understand the spell enough to write it down.
Okay, that's fair.
So you would is that what you're doing? You go to the Mysterium and you're gonna spend some time.
Me
learning how to
personally, yeah.
teleport? What is everybody else doing?
Oh, we do have all this money, and
You guys,
people
yeah,
want to
go
spend
full
it.
grind
Now
and
is going to be the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You are going into a desert so far from civilization that even desert nomads don't live there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we got money, we should probably spend a good bit of it.
Yeah.
so make me that. Regardless of what everyone else is doing.
Knowledge
make me
Arcana?
that
Oh,
spellcraft
spellcraft.
check.
Whoops.
Is it the same modifier? Or is it a?
Yeah, it's 21.
Okay, so yeah, you easily understand the spell, and
Sweet.
you're able to 490 gold off the loot sheet, and you can copy Greater Teleport into your spellbook.
Knowing
You
thing-
are very well versed in arcane studies, as would
Yeah.
make sense.
as I lived there for some
You're
time.
living in what is effectively a cloister of Nethys with a bunch of other wizards and magi, and this comes very easily to you.
Beautiful.
Also, you're a 12th level wizard.
Also,
It's
you're a
kind
12th
of your
level
thing.
wizard.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Alright, so yeah, you guys can continue on looking for your things. I'm gonna just note down what spells I want and how much it will be.
So it would
and then-
take you about 2 hours to get in the Mysterium, get a spell book, and understand and study the
Research
spell
all
enough
of
to
it,
be able to
yeah.
copy it into your own thing. So he's occupied for 2 hours if you guys wanted
Yeah.
to do shopping at that same time.
I think we should get Grayson some winged boots.
Aren't those levitate boots?
They're fly boots.
Are they actual fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, winged boots are actually fly.
Really expensive, but that means you can get in range from flying creatures.
Yeah, and it's 3 times per day, 5 minutes per flight.
I mean, amazing
So
flying
it's-
would be good.
Yeah, and it gives you a plus 40 your fly skill while you're using them too, because it's just like it literally is casting the fly spell on yourself. But it is command word, which keep in mind is a standard action. So it is, for all intents and purposes, boots that let you literally cast fly on yourself. You just don't need a concentration check.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good item.
That's a 16k would be easily available in the markets of Cthulhu if you wanted to purchase that.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would be.
Is there anything you guys want?
I like boots speed, but
You do have a wizard now.
I do, but it's not always the wizard's gonna cast haste. Case in point, I haven't had haste on me yet.
Yeah, you were too far away. I would have, but
It never does hurt to have boots of speed. They're nice.
Because it's a free action.
Yeah, it's not even a command word. And that would also be, of course, easily available in Cthulhu's magical markets.
So yeah, I can. I have a craft wondrous item, which means I can make wands and stuff, and all that good stuff. Or
Yes, if you wanted to take the time,
a craft wand. There we go.
yeah, you can craft wands. And you do also have craft wondrous item.
Yeah.
So you could try to make boots of speed and winged boots. Because
Yeah.
neither of those are a terribly difficult
And it's half price for
creation.
making it, right?
Yeah.
It'll take a long time though.
So it's gonna take
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. So if you wanted whatever the more expensive one was, for me to make one of them while we're here for the last of our time here, I could try to do that if you care to, or spend the money and
Take
just get
over
it now.
2 weeks, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty
gonna
sure
take
it's
days.
it's a
Oh,
day
wow.
per 1,000 gold you're spending.
I mean,
So
12 days for the.
yeah,
cheap
it would
item.
take you nearly 2 weeks to craft both those sets of boots.
Damn.
So it is very much a trade-off.
Yeah, half price, but a lot of time. Convenience pay, if you will. How long does it take to make a wand?
It's the same thing. It's 1 day per 1,000 gold you're spending on the item you're crafting.
Oh
So-
shit. A third
but I
level
mean-
wand would take me a week.
Yeah, third level one would take you,
It'd only be 6,000 gold?
yeah, a little under 6,000 gold, so a little less than a week to make a third
Yeah.
level wand.
Oh shit.
I mean, who knows when we get upgrades to weapons and armor, then we can do it at the same time.
Yeah. Want any upgrades and spells? And I was hoping, damn, we don't have, like, 5 days would be way too long to wait. Right?
I mean, depends on what we
5
all
or 6
need.
days. Yeah, because what I want to make is I want to have 2 wands. One would be a fireball, one is a lightning bolt. So that way I have.
You can try to hastily craft things,
Ooh,
which lets you make them twice as fast, but
so 3 days.
it takes basically when you craft it's spellcraft checks to be able to infuse the magic properly. It
Yeah.
raises all the checks by 5. So
Oh.
it's just
So what's a spell? What's
I
up?
don't know if you can do that with wands because there's not
yeah,
a
I'm
roll
not
on wands,
positive
is
you
there?
can do that with wands is the thing, but let me see. Creating wands. You need to have the spell, of course. You need 50 copies of any material component. But obviously you don't have a material component for what I assume is fireball or lightning bolt or whatever whatever you're
Yes.
making.
Because I have the
No,
fireball.
it's still a spellcraft check.
Is it?
It's yeah, crafting wands is spellcraft check the same way. So that's actually fine. You can also hastily do a wand. I can't find any of the DCs for crafting though.
Yeah. Because if it's crazy high, because I mean I have a 21, but I feel like hastily doing anything, like 21 doesn't matter that much. It'll still be very difficult to quickly make a wand of lightning. Because I want that, obviously, it'd be nice to have that so I don't have to ever prep fireball or lightning for a long time, and I have the ability to fight, always.
Well, it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do.
Fair enough. I mean, can I roll spellcraft to see how hard it would be to do so I would know the DCs? I mean, obviously I don't.
I mean, you would,
how hard it is.
You would know. You would already know about what it would take. I'm desperately trying to find the DC. It doesn't appear to be listed anywhere.
Oh, jeez.
That's why I didn't think there was one because I don't remember ever
Yeah,
finding
it says it
what
takes a
was.
spellcraft check, but nowhere on this page, like even Control FDC isn't finding it. Like nowhere on this
Jeez.
page.
That's not helpful at all.
I mean, even looking up like threads about like Eli 5 crafting, it's just like, oh, you need to hit the DC. What's the fucking DC? That's not Eli 5. That's Eli. I already know what the DC is. Okay, let me see. It's 5 plus caster level of the item. So since you are trying to make fireball
third
wands,
level.
yeah, that would, you need to be level 5 for third level spells, so it would literally be DC 10. So you
Oh, so I can't
that could
fail it?
easily be crafted hastily. Because it
So
would
wait,
be,
does that mean I can't fail it?
would be DC 15. Your spellcraft is 21.
Yeah, so I can't. Yeah, so I could hastily do it and never fail.
And then the 2 sets of boots are only a little bit harder. Because
Yeah.
the hardest one, the boots of speed, would be DC 20 to make hastily. Because you meet all the requirements
again, I
for
can't
these, which
fail.
is what, assuming you know fly and you definitely know haste, assuming you know also fly, which I think you do.
I believe so. Not positive, but I can
It's a
tell you in just
third
a
level,
second.
but yeah, you know fly. So you have all the prerequisites, which means it's really, really easy to craft them. So
Nice.
you could, at this level, easily hastily craft the wand and the boots. You actually can't even fail the checks.
That's beautiful. All right, so half price
So it
on
would
everything.
take you like
1 week?
3 days to make the wand, and then about a week to make both sets of boots. So you're still looking at like a week and a half to make everything.
That's up to you guys. I know it's important that we go quickly, but also having all of this at half the price would be very nice.
If we get to teleport, can we not spare it a week?
That's the thing, we don't really know.
We
It's
don't.
do we feel like we can?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, we have teleport, so we'll be there immediately after the week is over.
And once again, if we wait, we should use any other thing that's going to take time while he's doing his.
Yeah, like you guys do other time, like things that take a decent amount of time to just do whatever. So I have to again. I'm leaving it to you guys because it's what I'd care to do. But if you are the adventurers that have been chasing the Necronomicon so far, and if you feel that we don't have the time, then I won't do it.
Other than Shenmue maybe wanting to retrain some feats, I don't know that anybody else has anything time consuming.
I mean,
They
if
can
you're
do it
trying
right
to
now.
upgrade your armor or your weapons.
Yeah. Upgrading them takes time.
I mean, I would like to get wild on my armor, but that's
I know
very
you also
expensive.
wanted to research the Parchlands, which, well, you could. Yeah, you can't be crafting and also researching because both those require your dedicated day to do.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
You can't be doing both. So
Yeah.
unless anybody else wants to research, which is difficult without high int,
His spellcraft's not that bad.
And we can also see if we can get somebody at Mysterium to help us.
it is straight up intelligence checks. You
Oh, never
could
mind. I
ask
thought it was
somebody
spellcraft.
to research. Yeah, knowledge is just intelligence checks.
Okay, yeah, fair. That makes sense. How smart you are at reading.
How good you are at researching, yeah. 'Cause you have
Um,
the resources of the Mysterium, which is humongous at your disposal, and it's actually kind of difficult to find exactly what you're looking for, especially with a kind of obscure subject like the Parchlands or Neruzavan.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like that would be probably the best bet, is because going into this with no preparation and no like advanced items, then it could be hazardous. So I think it'd be good to use the Mysterium while we have it and spend as much of the money as we can before it becomes pointless to us.
I
So
mean,
is that what we're
definitely
doing?
Need to research. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so you guys can ask someone at the Mysterium to research, which I imagine they'll do for free because they understand what you're doing, and that you have to, go take this down. And you need their help to do that. And while you're doing that, I will be crafting magical items without fail.
I just keep watch Omereth and he crafts during the day and researches at night?
He can if he
yeah,
wants to never sleep again and just
Yeah, I'm
work
more than willing.
24/7
Yeah,
for
it
a week
doesn't
and a half.
do. There's no adverse effect, and I understand the how crucial time is here. So I'm more than willing.
We have
to
been
just
over previously that
keep watch is amazing.
researching is and researching is not a strenuous activity, so you can definitely
do that at night.
do research while you're on keep watch.
That's beautiful. All right, so that makes So this is the great idea. By daytime I am magic craftsman. By nighttime I am scholar. This is great.
I mean, you're technically an elf, and sleep is for pussy humans.
Exactly.
So
Excuse me?
I'm not
What?
technically an elf. I'm more of an elf than you are.
that's bullshit.
You're half.
Yeah, and you're a dirty dark elf.
Watch yourself.
You watch yourself.
Anyway, I think this is a good plan.
And I'm pretty sure Larkin's better at watching himself than you are at watching yourself.
I'm better at watching him than he is at watching himself.
Yes, you're right.
That's disturbing.
It is actually pretty creepy. He knows everything that's going on with us.
So, it's
Unless no
gonna
one's
be
gonna stop me, I'm gonna go make this stuff.
21k for the materials for the wand and both pairs of boots.
Leaving us with 10,000 for you
Well,
guys to
that's
do
a-
whatever.
Build literally all of it, though, is it not?
Yeah, the 21k is my wand and both the boots.
Yeah, that's
You're
everything
gonna
to be crafted.
Craft. Jeez, that's gonna take for fucking ever.
That's gonna take me a little under,
Like a week,
Or, I
like a
mean-
week and a half.
yeah, it's a week and a half. And then I research at night, which is gonna take not as long, I imagine. And by the time I finish both of them, we just teleport to.
It's like over 2 weeks. Where are you getting a week and a half from?
Did you?
Oh,
Have you been disconnected for this whole conversation?
No, I'm
this
just-
is just like, well, you've been talking about for like 10 minutes.
I'm not fucking paying attention, guys. I'm looking into my own items.
He's you can craft hastily by raising the DC, but at this point his spellcraft is so high,
I
and he
can't
has
fail it.
he has everything he needs.
Yeah,
There are
so that's
no
still,
prerequisites for crafting he doesn't have, so the DC is super low. So it's a level 3 wand and both sets of boots ends up being about a week and a half.
Wouldn't it still be longer than that?
No, that's the
Oh, the
One-
21k isn't just. It's 1,000. It's 1 day per 1,000 gold spent on the item, not all the crafting material that I need. The other money that I imagine is in the 21,000 is all the materials that I need to do this,
right.
which doesn't count
Yeah, but I'm
towards
saying it's
how
not.
long
It's not
it takes
price
to make it.
of mats. It's total price of item.
Yeah, just
which
the
is
item, not
the-
the materials.
Well, it's the price.
Which
I
I'm
guess
all.
I guess that's interpretation. The price of the item is half because you're crafting it.
Yeah.
But it's. I've always seen it as total price, not price of what you're crafting.
Well, it doesn't really specify. It just says price of item, and I'm interpreting that
I
as
mean, I'd
item
rather
as in
it
what
be
you're
shorter,
crafting.
but
Yeah.
So-
I was always thought it would be like fucking 40k total.
Well, I'm interpreting it as price of item as in
I mean,
what
good,
you're
that's
paying
way
to craft
better,
it.
'cause
So it's a
crafting
week
is
and a half
fucking
to
garbage.
hastily craft everything.
Yeah. There we go.
If GM says short, it's short. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
GM has spoken. Week and a half.
I mean, I'm happy with that. Goddamn.
All right. So then, yeah. I will begin, and
God, it's
I
been down.
can't fail the. I can't fail the checks.
Yeah,
so
you
no point
cannot
rolling them.
fail the spellcraft check. So it is simply
Yeah.
just the day of
Crafting it,
work. You
yeah.
just need to be left where you can focus, and you can easily take either one of the studies in the Mysterium to work on your crafting, where you could even have some of the other stewards assist you. Not that it's necessary, but just to make your job easier. Or
Yeah.
you could do it back in the hotel room as well as the rest, or as long as the rest of the party does not disturb you and it's quiet and you're able to just focus on your work in there. As long as they take their party elsewhere.
I will
So
do.
you need
I'll
the
do.
Mysterium.
I'll do it in the Mysterium, so that way at night I just get up and I go into the, library section and start like researching.
So
So I don't have to like come all the way from the hotel
the
every night.
spell crafting is for you very, very elementary. It's not difficult to create these items. The researching is a little bit more interesting because you're looking into something that there's not a large bank of knowledge about. What exactly is it you want to research?
I want to try to find anything I can on the landmarks in the desert to help us better. Like, I know there's virtually nothing on how to get through it faster, but if there's anything that can help us get through it faster, I want to find that, and anything I can find on the city itself.
Do you want to? Okay. You can't research 12 subjects at once.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
One is
want-
moving faster through the desert, and then the other one is the city itself.
Okay,
It's
so
better
you
to
want
know
like
how
the
to-
actual, the geography of the Parchlands and Neruzavan. So what are you starting with? Because you can't research
The
two subjects at
geography.
once either. Okay, so we restart with researching the Parchlands. So the way research works is you roll me an int check. And it's literally, with what you are doing, let me see what your, it's not a d20, it's not a regular d20 int check, because the die actually depends on how knowledgeable you are on the subject in the first place. This would be knowledge geography, which you're actually not, you're not very knowledgeable about, you just have a whole lot of general intelligence. So
Yeah.
you would be rolling a d8, because it is still a class skill, a d8 plus your int modifier, which is 6.
D8
so
plus
d8
6.
plus 6.
Oh, that's not good at all. Oh yeah, because it's turning it into an attack. That's why it's D8.
Yeah,
like,
because because
yeah.
it's two parts. It's just like attacking, but you can't fail the attack roll.
Yeah,
because
'cause
the
I-
attack roll
yeah,
is
smart.
just it's d20 plus your knowledge geography, which is still 12.
Yeah.
Actually, you can fail that. You do need to roll the d20 plus knowledge geography. Actually, I thought you couldn't fail it, but your geography is a lot lower than a lot of your other skills. I thought you were like a 21 baseline. Nope, you got it. So then you rolled d8 plus intellect. So d8 plus 6.
Yeah. Hey. Whoa, what the fuck?
That's what?
It like lagged and it re-rolled both the dice, and I was like, dude, if it rolls lower, I'm gonna be pissed.
No, that was pretty good. So
Yeah.
you go with your first night with Cornel there keeping watching, and I mean I'll have him roll an assist if you fail the initial knowledge check. You're able
Yeah.
to gather a small amount of information, a small amount of books and maps pertaining to the Parchlands itself. But information is very scarce. Not only because nobody lives there, but because it's just kind of an empty desert. People haven't even really bothered to go out and chart the area, and maps just have it mostly as a large, empty expanse, simply just labeled Parchlands. What you do know is that it is hundreds of... What are you... Are you doing the dishes? Like...
No, I dropped the fork.
Oh. I was like, what the fuck is going on over there? Anyway.
What the fork is going on?
What the fork is going on? You find out the Parchlands itself. The name applies to a huge stretch of desert, hundreds of miles out to the southeast of Kazmaran. And it's called as such because even for a desert, it is an especially dry and inhospitable area, which also lends to it not being charted so well. But beyond its general size and nature, you haven't found anything deeper than that.
Jeez.
So, roll me the d20 again for your second night of research after another day's work on these supplies.
That's a 30. Well. Oh.
And then roll me the
Why not?
d8 plus 6 again.
Shit.
That's 21 total. So, you find something useful. It's a couple of small accounts, actually, in a book on anthropology, that although there are no formal settlements within the Parchlands, there's no cities or towns, there's no way stations where you can resupply, there are several nomadic tribes that, although they don't really go into the Parchlands, they do frequent its perimeter. And on several accounts with these tribes, scholars have learned that all of them avoid the interior of the desert, not because of the heat or the dryness or just the emptiness of the expanse, but because of what you already knew, the extremely territorial Gertablilu and Ash Giant tribes that live within. They also know that the Gertablilu are, well, both races are intelligent, but of the two, the Gertablilu are less likely to outright attack. And some of these nomads have learned that there are powerful taboos and religious sanctuaries to these Gertablili within the Parchlands that they defend with their lives.
But all right, so next day, just imagine
So,
we just keep throwing it. What?
Can I just say something because I want to do this before like the whole week's over?
Yeah,
As far
I
as
mean, you're also
timeline-wise.
there for the researching too.
Well, but like I dug through the sheet, found some other stuff to sell. We've got the money. Can I find somebody to put wild on my armor?
Yeah, they could do that in town. Like,
Yeah,
Catherius
so
is,
that-
is like one of the probably top 5 biggest cities in the inner sea region. Like, you could absolutely find somebody who can enchant your armor with wild.
Yes. So that it'd take like 8 days. So I just wanted to make sure it got started.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be going
I got
while
like
he's
7
working on
days
your
in.
crafting.
There's
Yeah,
only
I
one
did-
day
I
left.
just-
There's
I
one day
didn't
left.
wanna-
Like, hey, dude, can I do an 8-day test real quick? It's like you could have done this 8 days ago.
Yeah, I just bring it up first. I got working on the money.
Yep.
It'll
so,
be good.
So this is day 3 of research. So in 7 more days, you'll have both the wild armor and both the crafted boots and the wand.
Yes.
So give me another check.
Fuck.
That one does not successfully
neither.
research. Cornel, do you want to try to assist? It's a
Knowledge, geography, right?
Yes, which I believe you have.
I do, technically.
Oh, baby.
Oh lord.
Oh.
I did say technically.
No assistance. So, again, knowledge
Damn it.
is very, very scarce. And after these few anthropological records of these nomadic tribes, on your 3rd night, after a full night of searching through everything you could find even tangentially related, you haven't found any new information on the area yet. It seems you truly might have hit an end, but you're not. You get the feeling there is at least still has to be something more you can find. So, 4th night.
Fortnite, go. Please hit me with knowledge. Yes.
All right, I roll with a D8 plus 6.
Yes. Nice. Better than 1.
So you feel like you almost have another full night of not making any progress, but halfway through, when it's only a few hours left of dawn, you find you go back to the anthropology tomes. You go back to trying to maybe find some other account from these nomads. So they seem to be the only ones that have any real knowledge of what's inside the Parchlands. Because anyone with the power, like even wizards had the power to teleport there, again, just haven't bothered. Because there's nothing in there and it's just hostile. And why would you do that when you can instead do anything else?
Yeah.
So, you do find one last account, a storybook for one of these tribes. They don't have any proper formal name, and it's just filed in that section of Mysterium that held all of the random unmarked journals and diaries. And there are a few variations on this tale, notes in the margins, different pieces crossed out and corrected, as it looks like this book had been worked on by several different hands, none of which were scholars by any stretch of the imagination, and many of which seem to have a very tenuous grasp of language itself. The book's not written in common, and even with like a spell like tongues, it still takes time and is difficult to translate. But as
Wait,
far
how
as
many
you can-
languages? What language is it?
It's not even.
I know
necess-
14 of them.
Yeah, well, it's none of the. It's not. It would be a dialect of Kalish, actually.
Oh.
A very, or not Kalish, Halit. Whatever. Is it Kalish? It's Kalish. It's Kalishite, of course. Kalishite. It would be Kalish.
I know
And,
Kalish.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's like you know Kalish, like you know English, but it's still hard to read Shakespeare. And these guys are way
Yeah.
less intelligent than Shakespeare. So it's just the rambling of nomads who live wandering around the desert their whole lives. Depending on the teller, these tales speak of a cursed city built and abandoned by a name you don't recognize, Ninshaburian. That name would be nothing to you. Or perhaps some subterranean race from the Darklands. And according to these nomad stories, they all agree the Gertablilu see themselves as the guardians of this city and forcibly reject all visitors, implying that any pilgrims not of their race are unworthy to visit their holy site.
Oh.
Other stories tell of interactions with the Ash Giants, who seem
Lord.
to just be a very warlike tribe who harass and fight virtually anyone who meets them and make no diplomatic attempts to reach out to travelers. But
Sorry, did
there
someone
are
say
some
giant?
there are some accounts that they can be reasoned with. Their respect can be earned from any who they can't just outright bully.
I didn't think.
And one story tells of a warrior from the tribe who fought one of the giants. The giants came up to run them off and attack, and he stood up alone and dueled one of them and defeated him. And after that, the giants immediately stopped their attack, not out of fear that the rest of their numbers could not overwhelm this one warrior, but out of respect. They saw the nomads as equals and just decided to treat them as such rather than just prey or entertainment. But with this last storybook, you don't feel like there's any more information on the Parchlands you can find in the Mysterium. There are no maps, there are no accounts of specific landmarks. Even these nomads don't journey far inside.
Jeez.
You may actually possess, from Miacnian, one of the only accounts of journeys inside the Parchlands that exists.
Wow.
You do find, almost frustratingly, records of a group of scholars that headed into the Parchlands, but these records are fragmented and incomplete, and they contain absolutely no knowledge of the inside the desert itself.
Fortunate.
It does not appear that whatever this scholarly expedition was, it was completed successfully. And it appears that these scholars never even returned.
Damn. Alright. Then I shall, with, like, there, as you said, there's no more knowledge I can gain from this.
There's not about the Parchlands.
Yeah.
You could try to research Neruzivan specifically,
Yeah, that's what
and
that's,
a good place to start would be the journey of those scholars. It seems they were headed out to Neruzivan, but again, this is also very incomplete. So, next
I
day
don't
of
think-
research. This is now knowledge history or knowledge local, because it's researching these
Ha,
this actual
local.
scholar tribe.
plus 15, not 12. Which would make it, oh, that's still just, oh wait, no, local has 6 in it, so would that be what would that be? Instead of a
It's-
D8? Or still just D8?
That would be up to a D12, actually. This
Nice.
subject is more familiar to you.
Hell yeah.
All right, good news. That's good enough.
D12 plus 6, right?
Yep. Hot.
Nice.
So
That's fine.
you start with this scholarly expedition, and you see the name again, Ninshaber. From what you can connect together, there's a decent amount of information on this name, but it's not something you would have probably come across in your own studies. It's not something you would recognize. It is in one of the many... Hold on.
Okay.
One of the many ancient dynasties, the old human races like the Aslanti, that just were lost to time. They're just simply not around anymore. There are too many of them to count. Most of their recounts and their knowledge is meaningless or unimportant. But these scholars from the old Ninshaber set out to map the Parchlands. So they were trying to do exactly what you're looking for, but this is again the incomplete account that they were never heard back from again. They set into the Parchlands And before they had begun laying down any official charting, when they were just trying to gauge the size of the area and how they would go about creating a map on such scale, hundreds of miles of nearly barren desert, they found a city. Do you have tongues?
Yes. I actually literally have one prepared.
So you would probably use this while you're reading through this, these scholarly accounts, because this language from Ninjaber is an ancient
dumb.
dead language. It's not around anymore.
I have comprehend languages.
Do you know
Does
tongues?
I don't think I know tongues, actually.
All right, so
I'd have to buy tongues.
well, you're in the Mysterium. I mean, there's other scholars who can help with translating, but you basically need somebody to help you be translating this, which is going to slow down how effectively you can research through this
Question.
without the ability to understand it. A very dead language. What's up?
What's the difference between comprehend languages and tongues? Tongues just means I can speak it.
Oh,
Comprehend
yeah,
means I can.
comprehend
read it,
languages.
right? Yeah,
Comprehend languages apply to all languages.
yeah.
I
I can read and understand any language.
Oh yeah, so comprehend languages work fine.
Sweet. I just can't speak it. Like this one, I won't
That's
be.
fine.
Like,
You don't need to speak it.
tongues.
You're reading it, so it's fine. They found a city, and they named it Cradle of Heaven, Neruzavin. Neruzavin is actually just a title in this old dead language, and you find the beginnings of it's kind of the end of these scholarly expeditions, where they were starting to report that in and around the Cradle of Heaven, these scholars started to experience terrible nightmares and visions, and as this expedition's journals start to taper off and you start to run out of material here, you see some increasingly more insane recountings of these nightmares, visions of an alien city, a fungal infestation, strange figures dressed in tattered yellow robes, and it just descends into madness before the recounts end completely.
Place is gonna be insane.
So you can keep researching, but that's all you can really get out of the journals from the Ninjaber expedition.
I mean, I will continue researching what I can, unless I'm getting the there is no more knowledge warning.
No, you figure there's
Okay.
there's still more in there.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. What? Oh wait, what was it?
So this is
Oh,
day
in
6, I
2015.
believe.
Yeah. Nice. Less nice. God damn.
All right, so you spend the night trying desperately to find any other knowledge of Neruzavin, anything that could possibly tell you something more about this city or these nightmares or anything really. There's so little knowledge on this dead city in the middle of a desert, and as you search through, at the end of the night, you're getting desperate, and you start to expand your search to other areas and other sections of the library, just trying to find hopefully anything even tangentially related, even in like tomes of magical instruction. Maybe something will lead back to Neruzavin. And finally, at the end of the night, you find archaeological journals from a woman, another denizen of Ninjaber, not part of this expedition sent out to map the Parchlands, but one that had headed out later, or before them, named Upianshi. And at that point, it's nearly day. You need to get back to work on your spellcrafting, and you'll have to investigate those later in the night.
Yeah. Done fucked up. And try again. 20 plus 15.
That actually fails.
Yeah, I need a hand.
Does anybody have knowledge, history, or knowledge? Well, Mancha, I guess, because you're the one that's there at night. Do you have knowledge, history, or knowledge local to help him?
I don't have either one of those, no.
Oh shit, he can't even roll a 20 to help me.
Upianshi's writings are...
Well, I can roll just a hard D20, can't I?
Yeah, you can just roll a raw d20.
But the DC's higher,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's much higher because it's generally trained only. But just like roll me a d20, we'll see if you get lucky. You do
Not
not.
lucky.
So Obiachi's writings are extensive, and her journey to Nerizvan does not appear to be well cataloged, and in fact, it's just kind of meshed together with her life's work of archaeological studying, and most of which details many of these subterranean tunnels, and what might possibly, in interesting news for another time, be one of the first recorded expeditions into the Darklands in the Galarian's history, as she went into the tunnels below Ninshaburian, Ninshaber. But the way this language is structured and the way that all of her massive amounts of writings are placed together, it's not easy to isolate information on Nerizvan. You spend the whole night just digging through this obtuse, extremely wordy, dead language, just trying to make any sort of progress and getting nowhere at all.
Damn.
So this is, I think, second to last day before the crafting is done.
Yeah. Okey-dokey. Let's do it, boys. Me with the hotness. That's not the hotness.
Well, believe in the dream. You're starting to wonder if there's really anything here, or if just perhaps Upianshi had once mentioned the all you can find is plans. The original thing you found, the Archaeological Journal's plans to head out to into the Parchlands. And again, this was before Nerizvan had even been named. It might not even be relevant. She might not even have gone. You've only got one more day before this crafting is done to try and figure it out, unless you want to delay your journey to the Parchlands or Okino even longer.
Larkin, you don't want to come hang out with the research?
I mean, I can come.
After 2 days, I would imagine, well, Umrat doesn't really leave the Mysterium. It hasn't for a week and a half. But Cardinal's out there during the day, I would guess, and he would probably relay to you Umrat's frustration. We found all these archaeological books and we can't get anywhere. And does come ask you for help.
Yeah, I mean, I'll totally go. Absolutely.
So once more, with feeling. Keep watch, cast on Gratian as well. The boots are completed, the wand is completed. You have crafted everything you wanted to craft. And this is just one last night before you were planning on heading out to see if there's anything to be known about Upianshi's adventures.
Okay. Please let me know. God. I could have sold it. Alright. Knowledge local me, please.
Oh, bro, this is literally the cover of this right now. So Sarah, the fucking magnifying glass going over all these skulls and shit.
Knowledge.
Yes,
Fingers crossed.
these are words.
Yes.
That's pretty good. So you bring Gratian down, and Umrath has just hit a wall. You, like, this is not your department. You're a wizard. Arcane and magical studies have been your thing. Sure, you know history. Sure, you know, like, ancient bloodlines and nobility and old wars, and you know of all various types of creatures and elements that wandered this plane and others. But this is archaeology. This is the most mundane of mundane things you could possibly be researching. And regardless of how important it is that you find this knowledge, this just isn't something you are good at doing. Gratian has a much more mundane formal education. And as he comes down, although he can't read this language, he can't read this unnamed dead language of Ninshaber, he does understand pretty quickly over the night the structure of these journals and how everything is laid out. And with his help, you are able
That's
to find
fucking teamwork!
more information. You are able to get literally anything out of her archaeological writings.
Thank you kindly. Needed a hand
She
finding
did
anything.
go into the Parchlands.
Ah,
And according to her accounts, the second journey that went out, the one you were reading about previously, as this did come out much later, they took credit for the name Narizavan. Upianshi appears to actually be the one who named the city in the first place. Her expedition was the one that found it. She went into the Parchlands with a small group of her own escorts and just wandered into the city, just randomly happened upon it. And it makes sense to you now that as the other expedition set out to chart the Parchlands, they went almost immediately straight to Narizavan because they knew where it was and just tried to steal her thunder and take credit for finding all of this, but all perished to these nightmares and whatnot that were happening on the city. So much for that, assholes.
Yeah, good fuck you.
Kobayashi got to Narizavan and had the same problem. She documents members of her teams starting to complain about increasingly severe nightmares in and around the Cradle of Heaven. And
I want to pause you.
What's up?
Do I not have to roll the 12?
You were right on the edge of it. You actually can't roll low enough to not finish that.
Oh, sweet. Thank God.
You barely just didn't get it with the last one.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want you
But,
telling me all this information.
No,
It's like, hey,
you had it
I
was a
haven't
2.
acted.
It was a 2.
You're
Wow.
D12 plus 6. You can't get less than a 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
You-
yeah, I just
You
want to make sure.
almost did it. So, Ubianchi wrote this all off. She thought it was absurd that they had come this far and discovered such a truly impressive ancient city, and they were complaining they were having bad dreams. And she actually spent several days mocking them because nothing had happened to her. Her tone changes quickly as she recounts losing the rest of her expedition and being the last remaining survivor, still unvisited by these nightmares. Half of her expedition just perished. The other half, she killed herself as they went insane and attacked her. And she had no choice but to defend herself, and she had to kill all of the closest members of her house.
Wow.
She did not make it back out of Narizavan. And since, unfortunately, the book is not able to tell you how it ended up in the Mysterium, you're unsure who brought this back here in the first place. Clearly somebody at some point must have been to Narizavan, because both this journal and the later Ninshiburian expedition to Narizavan both now reside in the Mysterium. But neither of these journeys ever left. Bianchi discovered the source of the nightmares. She found the source of the infestation in Narizavan. But where it is written, that small section of the page has been physically scratched and torn out.
Oh, shit.
And you can see small burns around the edge of the missing piece. It's not even like half a page. It's like a small section has been scratched and burnt out of the paper completely. A name.
Can't even
The
think
last-
of a way.
The
Figured
last
it out.
couple days of her recounting are her regret, basically, that she didn't believe her companions sooner and that she didn't take them seriously before her logs very unceremoniously come to an end.
Damn. Parchlands are not fun, and the city seems to be even worse.
We're used to it.
I hope so. We're gonna have a lot of shit ahead of us, it seems.
I mean, she must have been impressive too, taking down her entire, well, half her expedition by herself.
True.
Maybe.
If I can, I want to go up to the leader and ask about the book. Like, hey,
Elder
you wouldn't
Lycane?
happen to, yeah, be like, you wouldn't happen to know who brought this home.
So, he does not spend most of his time in the Mysterium properly. He would, be back in the board house, but you can certainly go there and talk to him. And, you walk in, just nod to the receptionist and ask for Elder Lythane, and she just sends you on your way. You're a respected member of the stewards. You can go talk to Lythane whenever you want. Is anybody coming with him?
I mean, I figure I go with him. Not like I have any research to do.
You and Cornell would both have been there when this was discovered, of course, because you were there with the research, but it's, I guess, does Grigor, would you come grab Grigor, or would Grigor also want to tag along, or just the four of you? Three of you, rather. I don't know why I said four.
I'd come along if I knew.
Yeah, I mean, we're nearly done with everything, so it'd be like, hey, we're heading out. This
You would
is
have met with
our
him
last
to
day.
give him the boots of speed, I'm sure, because they are
Yeah.
completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned you're going to go speak with Elder Lythane before you head out. So the four of
Yeah.
you all head.
Here's some new kicks. Let's go
Let's
talk
go.
to the guy.
Let's go for a run.
Wow, there's Air
everyone's-
Jordans?
Everyone's got their new stuff. You two, Gratian and Grigor got new boots. Cornell would now have
Got
his
my
wild
wand.
armor. And Elmereth would have the new, Wand of Lightning Bolt that you made, I assume?
Yep.
The Wand of Lightning Bolt.
50 charges.
So, the four of you head up to speak with Elder Lythane before you head out. And as you enter, he is sitting at his desk, going through a pile of what look to be fairly recent and very... What's the word I'm looking for? Economic scrolls. He is trying to sort out repairs and replacements for anything lost in the Mysterium during, well, you know, the whole thing that happened in the Mysterium, and even weeks later, this is clearly still a work in progress. A lot of
Like
damage was
accounting?
done to the building. Accounting was the word I was looking for. Car crash may be retarded, don't make fun of me.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
the
a lot of
contract
items
don't
missing
go.
from that place, huh?
So as he looks up as you come in and says, "Oh, Omereth, yes. Did you require assistance?" And he looks over the rest of the group.
Not assistance so much as just a quick question before we headed out. I'd lift the book, and ask, you wouldn't happen to know who brought this back, or if there's any way I could find who brought this book here?
Kind of furrows his brow a bit and holds his hand out for the book. You give it to him, I assume.
Yes,
And he takes it and looks through it. Says,
my book.
ancient archaeological findings. Not so much my specialty. I can't say we have record of where we acquired most of the tomes in the Mysterium. Those outside the deepest levels of protection, which have mostly now been censored by our once guardian, I
Terrible
could not
shame,
tell
though.
you of their origin. So, I do not know, unfortunately. Why? Is there something in here that is relevant to your pursuit of the Count?
Yes, it would have been quite helpful if we could find out who brought it back, because this was in fact, the book itself was at the city that we're going to attempt to get to, and whoever brought it here obviously has been there because they got the book, and it would have been nice to have them help us draw a better map there, or in fact, if they were one of us, perhaps even give us a teleport there. But
And
as you don't know,
as you're talking to him, he's still thumbing through the book. Like, he's nodding and listening, but he's slowly going through the pages as you're talking to him.
yeah.
And as you finish, he nods. Says, of course. Neruzavan. I'm not familiar, but then again, I don't know of anyone who is with the inside of the Parchlands. I didn't know there was a city there, myself. Curious as to who would have built it. As far as I understand, there's no records of any real settlements that far into the south of the Casmeronian deserts. Even going back as far as the dawn of human history. None that are recorded have settled there. Surely none with the capacity to build a city of the size such as they describe in this book. curious, but I'm afraid I don't know of any more information that can help you, Omereth.
That's quite a shame, but thank you all the same. Lastly, before we go, if there's any chance you aren't busy enough, you could give us a teleport. That would be very kind.
To the Parchlands.
Yes.
Are
As
we making our stop in Okino first?
I mean, that was up to you guys. Oh, okay, then
Let's
yeah,
go
we'll
with
teleport
Okino
there.
first. Either way, Kino, we're the borders of the Parchlands. Of course, I can, if you will give me a moment to prepare the spells, about half an hour should do, and I will be able to take you to either one of those locations. Unfortunately, I cannot drop you much further than the farthest caravanserai in the deserts, but you have your, well, I hesitate to call it a map, your guide. So it is. If you're journeying so far into the Parchlands, I would recommend you, well, Okino first, you said. Is that where we're going?
That seems to be what they've decided.
Deciding to follow up on the vision. Hopefully this is not a fruitless cause or a waste of time. We cannot allow Lowells to have this Necronomicon for any longer than we absolutely have to, but the four of you are much more familiar with the situation than I am, and I trust your judgment on this matter. Mine is ill-informed. I will, again, send you to Okino. When you do, if you do, decide to pursue this lead in the Parchlands, I would recommend you are very well prepared.
Of course.
I would advise that you either have a magical means of travel or that you bring with you mounts. The journey will be long enough. It may be easier and perhaps even simpler to rely on something so basic as camels to carry you without having to worry about any sort of persistent spells or anything. We don't know what's inside the Parchlands, and based on this account here, this Neruzavin appears to clearly have some sort of ancient enchantments around it. We don't know how that might interact, and you don't want to find yourself hundreds of miles from civilization with no ability to wind walk, per se.
Of course. Sounds like a good plan. Well, thank you very much, and we'll leave you to get ready for the,
He moves the accounting
spell.
scrolls aside and reaches into a desk and pulls out his own personal spellbook and says, of course, as I said, give me about a half an hour to prepare 2 castings of the spell to take you and return myself, and we will go.
Alright. And we'll leave him there. That would be, out of character, obviously. It'd be really interesting to just look through another mage's spellbook, because I imagine people write stuff differently like everything else, so, like, you'd write the spell down how it should be written down, but, like, there'd be different ways to write everything. So that'd be weird to, like, look how someone else, like, wrote something down about a spell.
That's why it takes a spellcraft check to copy any
Read
spell
someone
over. It's
else's.
not like literally just copying letters and everything
Yeah.
over. You do actually have to adapt it to your own personal magic. So yeah. Going through their wizard spellbook is
That'd be pretty wild. Yeah, it's like, this
it's
is
something you
another
probably would have
language.
done at least multiple times. Omereth, anyway, would
Yeah,
have done at least a bunch, I'm sure, with access to how many spellbooks there are just in the Mysterium.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you guys have any last minute things you want to do before you warp down to Okino?
I don't think so. Obviously, we need to prepare for the desert, but we can do that after Okino.
Yeah.
Or I hope we can.
Hopefully,
I dream.
everything will be fine.
Oh,
I mean,
this will be
going
me.
to Okino,
What's up?
going to Okino could change the situation that we're going to the desert in.
Yeah.
So it would be, don't want to prepare and then have the situation change and have to prepare differently.
Yep. This is asking the party in character. Is there any spells that you guys know of? Because I'm not, like, I am a caster, but I have not been in nearly as much conflict as you guys. Is there any spells that you might have heard of in your time that you would think that I should bring that I might not know? Like, if there's any specifically that you feel that would be very good for our party altogether.
I think it is out of character. Do you know about Force Anchor?
I don't know about Force Anchor.
Well, if you don't, then
Why would you say that out of character?
Because Gregor
I'm a
wouldn't know about
fucking
Force
Greek
Anchor.
ninja.
Yeah, Gregor doesn't know anything about magic.
Shit.
The only person in the party who would know anything
Me.
about magic is, I mean, Gratian, as far as just basic education is carrying him. It's not like he can cast himself, but I mean, he would probably know at least a little bit on magic, and Cornell.
I technically have a spell I can cast.
Do you?
Technically, detect aberrations.
Oh, yeah, I mean, is it supernatural or spell-like?
I think it's supernatural, but I mean it's spellish.
I was gonna say, if it's spell-like, you do actually have a spell you can cast.
Let's see.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
isn't
curious now.
I'm pretty
isn't
sure
it detect plants and animals as a different spell?
it's detect undead as detect aberration because the archetype predates the detect aberration spell.
It's spell-like. Yeah,
Ah.
you can cast a spell. Yeah,
Nice.
it's
Oh,
actually
you
a
got
spell-like
that.
ability,
Alright.
so you do have some level of understanding of magic. That I
Okay,
mean,
so yeah, Force
it's
Anchor.
spell-like. It's like you literally, you took the whole gibbering mouthers eating your family thing so hard that you
God
actually,
damn, just fucking drop that out there.
you actually
It
taught.
wasn't the mouthers either.
Was it not? I thought it was giving mouthers.
No,
I mean,
that's
there's someone
my
sitting.
brother.
It wasn't them.
Oh, what was it that?
Definitely. What is it? A Natalgu?
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
it's
no,
not good.
Talgu. I thought it was
But I mean,
giving
even
mouthers.
then,
But I mean, you did
doesn't
talk
even
about
know
that.
if they're actually dead or not.
I mean, you did talk about it before that the place was destroyed by them.
Doesn't mean they ain't my parents.
I mean, fair, yeah, but it's just
But,
assumed that the whole place is
The
destroyed.
point is,
They're
you
gobbled
literally, like with a spell-like ability, you pretty much taught yourself through pure focused hate. You hate aberrations so much that you have pseudo magic that you can
I cast
actually
rocks,
cast like a
so,
spell.
like, does that count?
No, shut up. Nothing you do
Nope.
is spell-like.
up.
Anyway.
I think
No,
it is, actually.
your body is just a portal to the plane of Earth.
That's literally what it is. You are actually pulling boulders from the plane of Earth. Like it's like a summon because they despawn after you shoot them.
Yeah, Connect Plastics is spell-like.
Oh, is it? Okay, so
Um,
yeah, I guess it's similar then. Yeah.
It's fine
It's
if it's fine.
spell-like, but it ignores spell resistance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
spell-like, but not. I don't know
Yeah.
why it's not supernatural. I guess it's literally just fuck you because if you're in an, well, you can't do supernaturals in an anti-magic field either. I'm not really sure what the point of it. It doesn't provoke, and it doesn't apply spell resistance. So it is a
Well,
spell-like that is mechanically supernatural. It's literally has
well,
no purpose
Earth-
to be spell-like.
Earthbending doesn't allow spell resistance. Firebending does. And
Oh, that's
so
true.
it's
The ones that
different
hit, the
depending
ones that
on-
hit touch
Yeah,
AC.
Yeah,
The
because like,
physical blasts are functionally supernatural, but they are technically spell-like.
yeah.
But all their rules are we're not spell-like, we're supernatural. Anyway, 30 minutes pass. Oh, what's up?
Again, before we leave, like I want to ask the party about the spells, because
Like,
again,
the
like,
only
I
other
wanna-
thing that comes to mind is indoor elements, but I don't
Yeah.
know that we could get that
Yeah.
long enough for it to matter in the desert when we're
Oh,
going
no,
to be in there for possibly
desert-
weeks.
I imagine the desert's gigantic. Like I don't think I could cast anything long enough to deal with that. But all the same, I wanted to ask the party about it because Omereth, of course, knows a majority of the spells, like knowing about them, but I do not personally know the greatest effect of some of the spells and what would be very good to have
No,
just
I'm
as
just saying
coverage.
Force Anchor because it hit ghosts and prevents them from going for walls.
Yeah, making ghosts not do stupid ghost shit is generally always helpful.
I can do that. That's 90 gold to write that down. It's a 3rd level spell, so it's
Yep.
just 90 gold to write that down. So
How about Magic Missile? That works against ghosts.
I have that one.
Believe it or not, a 12 level wizard does already know Magic Missile.
Yeah, like
But
fun
thanks
fact.
for playing.
Amazing.
But yeah, so because I want something for every occasion. Like I'm not trying to obviously be like crazy meta. What are the best spells
Right.
in the game? Like
Uh,
I do know Phantasmal Killer, haha. But like again, I'm not gonna
Hydrophobia and Greater Aquasorb.
Stop.
The meme combo.
But yeah, like just good things. I have every single one of the what was it? The 2nd level spells +4 to whatever stat. I have all of
Right.
those.
If
So,
you want me
just so
to
you know.
take a look through the spell list later, and then we can maybe retcon it, so it doesn't take up time now. I
If
can
Squid's
give you
alright
a-
with that.
Yeah, I can give you a list of
Yeah.
things I think might be useful.
I mean, I always loved Bone Shatter.
I mean, we had to see
You
what
would
level.
like it.
30 minutes later, because Force Hacker would have been something you would have written in earlier in the week. 30 minutes
Yeah.
later, the spell is prepared, and you meet with Elder Lythane. And he just in his office, casts Greater Teleport, and brings the 5 of you, because again, Darius is realistically here. He's just not mechanically here. He brings the 5 of you into Okino. And you arrive near the, I guess, front gate. It's not really so much of a gate as just the furthest reaches of the city itself, where they have posted outside a large slew of tanning pits, where all sorts of leatherworking companies have their facilities. Of course, as you arrive, you are hit with the smell immediately, because it turns out tanning pits smell absolutely terrible and very, very, very strongly. Immediately behind the tanning pits, which are not only the
Sorry.
What? oh,
No.
which are not only the actual leatherworking facilities themselves, but are also massive pens of assorted animals that are bred and slaughtered for their hides. The back walls of the outer houses of Okino are just piled with mounds of dung from these herds, which just roam around freely. Okino is not a pleasant city.
Quite the opposite
You-
of where we came from.
You would see immediately the just enormous number of slaves laboring all around the tanning pits and shoveling all of the various animal droppings just into these huge piles against the back wall. There seem to be more slaves out here in the tanning pits than there are customers and anything else, although it is a fairly busy area. The city itself rises in the distance. It is pretty large. It's no Kathir, but it's still a pretty large city of its own right. And in contrast to these just disgusting buildings and these outlying squatter shacks, on the other side of Okino, on the back side of this island, these beautiful, massive mountains just rise up completely pristine and untouched by all the corruption and nonsense that washes across the city. The most interesting thing you would notice immediately, other than the smell, of course, is that this city, as far as you can see from the outside here, seems to be populated more by gnolls than it is by more common races. You see a lot of gnolls. All the slaves, notably, are the standard human races, mostly human, a few scattered half-elves and dwarves. It doesn't look like they really go for much else than that.
No drow. Nice.
Do I see Hager?
You do not see Hugger.
Damn it.
So after you arrive, Elder Lythane just grimaces and looks over the town. Says, I am sorry that your journeys would bring you to a place such as this. And hopefully you will not have to stay here for long. I wish you
agree.
luck in whatever it is you're after here.
Thank you again.
Before casting a
Teleporting
second
as
time,
fast as he can.
teleporting himself the hell out of Okino. So unlike teleporting into Kathir, where nobody notices and nobody cares, because Kathir is a huge hub of magical
Yeah,
knowledge and
teleporting's
people teleport in and
cool.
out all the time,
Yeah.
the teleporting seems to be a bit of a spectacle. and quite a few of the gnolls and the human workers, not the slaves, of course, because they are either too uncaring or too afraid to stop their work and look, kind of look, and some of the gnolls literally tilt their heads a bit to the side like dogs as they kind of look at the group that's just appeared extremely well geared outside the gates of the city. Well,
Disgusting
that's a phrase.
animals.
The city doesn't even have gates, just dirt paths that lead through.
So the last building we saw in the vision, you said it was really tall and circular?
There's a tall,
Like a
circular
cylindrical tower.
fortress. Yes. And
Is that anything we can see from...
as you look throughout the city, you see this fortress. You're at the north end of the city right now. You see this fortress off to your right, towards the east, near the base of some of the mountains rising off into the distance.
Looks like well, I don't actually know. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but I didn't see anything.
Well, I mean, I think we would have told you by now.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
point
Yeah,
it
you haven't
out.
had a vision, so you don't actually know what we're
Yeah.
going for.
Is
What
it
the rest
more
of the party-
tower-like or more like wide?
It's more tower-like. It looks like it's about 3-4 stories tall, but for how tall it is fairly squat. It's definitely wider than it is tall. It's almost like,
A chode.
it's almost even. Not as wide as it is tall, just a big cylindrical squat fort.
Okay.
Okay. Then we,
Notably, it does not look to be inside Okino so much as it is right outside of it.
then I
Want
say
to
we
try to
get-
figure out what it is?
Yeah, we can get over to it and see
Gather.
what's going on.
I mean, just gather a little information before we head fully over there,
Yeah,
maybe?
you can do as you
Oh,
walk
try to
through, you can
speak
do a
to the
diplomacy check to
common
try
folk.
and gather some information about, well, what is that that we're going to?
That's fair. I'll just I imagine unless someone has a higher diplomacy than me, I have 14.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I have
Go ahead and
0.
roll it. Yeah, you can go ahead and roll at diplomacy.
For a no, my diplomacy is shit.
Yeah. I try to
No,
talk
that's
to one of the
your
gnolls.
You no
Damn.
longer have your power.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
So the 17, you try to gather information as you're going through the town here. And most people, and gnolls, anyone that the couple people you ask on the way over, look at you more or less like you've grown a second head when you ask about what that is, and they're all quick to point out that the tower is known as the Blossoming Thorn. And it is the fort of one of the most powerful slavers in Okino. It's where they keep their stock. And when asked who, they just look at you again like you're an idiot. These gnolls, these dog people, look at Omereth like he's the idiot.
Ouch.
I give you a name, Princess Nyano. Duh.
I see. Thank you.
Many of them simply laugh at you and continue on their way rather than answer your question.
Oh, welcoming town this is.
Yeah. Very nice. Alright, well, do you want to keep talking to some common folk? Or do you think we're ready to get over there?
It doesn't sound like we're going to get more information than that.
Yeah. They do
That's
not.
information, at least. We know a little bit of what we're going into.
You're not.
As you walk through the towns here, this is just
Depressing.
probably the most unpleasant city that you've ever been to. It's about the size of Casimir, if not.
Hey, we were all sold as slaves before.
It's about the size of Casimir, if
I
not
wasn't.
larger
Lance tried over that. Jesus.
than
I wonder why.
than Casimir. He's not wrong. But the vast majority of the village is like, I don't know of a better word than favelas. It's just
I love that map.
small, depressing little buildings almost stacked on top of each other, and a confusing maze of alleyways and random dead ends where the buildings just tower over the narrow streets to the point where the sun never touches them.
Jesus.
And as you walk through this town, as you get into the village more, well, not village, it is a city, it's pretty large, you realize that it is populated more, much more by humans than gnolls, but only if you're counting the slaves, which are everywhere. Where in a normal city you would have possibly peddlers trying to sell fruit or jewelry, almost every corner or major intersection of the street seems to have a gnoll or a man with a crop of slaves. They're all just shouting over each other, and it's just various auctioneers audible anywhere in this entire city. It seems that just from a cursory pass-through, the only real industry is slavery.
Terrible.
What else? You can't imagine anything else could possibly be produced here other than on some of the outlying buildings like the leatherworks outside of the city itself.
A city of slaves.
It is a
Actually miserable.
slave city.
Seems like a shit way to do commerce.
Fair.
Well, as you get through the city, and as you start to get deeper in and walk towards the Blossoming Thorn, this massive tower, you do realize that the other side of Okino is a very large harbor with a healthy number of ships moored up. And it's a massive port city. It's shaped almost like almost like some of the Shackles ports, actually, where the city is almost just a big U shape around a large inlet of water to be able to fit as many commercial ships in as possible. And the ports, as you start to get near them, you immediately, I would imagine, adjust your course to stay as far away from possible, as they are even more of a mess than the rest of the city. As the first time you get close enough to see them, you can count 3 different areas where fights have broken out, or are currently breaking out, either between slaves, over slaves, or between buyers and vendors about prices. Nobody appears to be making any motion to stop any of this, and in fact, many of the people around are cheering them on or just laughing. It's about the best source of entertainment Okino has.
Reminds me of home.
After you would, Drow. That's not terribly far off, I suppose. So, after walking through the breadth of most of the city, you get near the eastern side, where you can see that the Blossoming Thorn itself is set almost up into some of the foothills of the mountains, and you can see a few roads that lead up into what looks like homes you would reasonably live in. This seems to be the upper part of the town, off to the more northern ends, the high-end areas where some of the higher-grade vendors and slavers live. And dotted around are a couple of these various larger complexes, slave pens. Some like to keep them close to their homes. The Blossoming Thorn is set apart from them, a few 100 feet from anything, with a very, very open dirt road that looks like trees have been cleared on either side, with the intention of making sure that anybody coming up and down this road would be clearly visible from a great distance away. So as you get within view of this, you can see a few gnolls hanging out on the top of the Blossoming Thorn itself, as well as 2 gnolls by a massive iron portcullis that serves as a front gate the road leads to, standing with halberds at attention, immobile, just guarding the entrance. As it was in the visions, the building has no proper windows, but does have rings of arrow slits around the various floors, facing in every conceivable direction. Strikes you as perhaps overkill for a building just to hold your stock.
Yeah. Something seems very strange about this place. Now I have to decide how to get in.
Gonna attempt the front gate.
As if in response to that thought, you hear a massive clank even from this distance, because I imagine you're not walking up to the thing. You're still like on the edges of Okino looking at it.
Yeah.
As you can see the portcullis start to slide upward.
The what?
The door.
The gate.
Oh.
Nation, what do your elf eyes see?
Sorry, I
What
don't
do
know
my elf
boats.
eyes see?
I know books.
My eyes are my only elven feature.
Well, you look up the hill towards the blossoming thorn itself, and you can see as the portcullis opens, it slides up about
what?
halfway through the gate. Slides up about halfway through the opening, so you have about a 15-foot gap between the bottom of the portcullis and the ground below. And out.
You wanted to see someone was gonna say what?
I was really waiting for it too. I thought I was gonna say what again. But
What?
Sorry, that was you just paused. It was good. Go ahead.
out from it, you see 2 rows of mostly humans, almost exclusively humans, but a few dwarves. All of them very large men. All of them in 2 rows of shackles, maybe 2-3 dozen of them total, being led out by a couple of larger gnolls wearing leather armor with kind of ninetails in their hands and axes on their hips. And the gnolls are marching these slaves out through the gate. And as they come out and step on the road, you see behind them the mixed group of people and gnolls. Looks like a few more of the gnoll guards and what appear to be just mixed mercenaries standing around 2 people. An older man, the patch over one eye and a bright red vest, who is conversing with a gnoll who looks... What?
Sorry, just nothing.
A gnoll who looks different from the rest of the guards. He's wearing no armor at all and is in fact wearing what, as far as you can tell, is what passes for a dress in gnoll fashion, with a white veil trailing back off her head and a ridiculous amount of jewelry around her neck and hanging from her ears and nose. And they come out a good 15-20 feet behind the racks of slaves that are being marched.
Would you describe the
Guys.
female as a slumdog millionaire?
I would not.
God damn it, come
I
on,
think
that was
might
good.
be the princess we were heard about.
Possibly.
I don't believe in princesses.
So as the slaves march down the road towards the group of you and towards Okino, the man smiles and nods his head and reaches out his hand towards the richer of the gnolls. We'll go ahead and call her the princess for now. I'll go off Cornell's assumption. And the princess reaches out with her weird little paw and shakes his hand and also grins in a fairly disturbing way. Noel's smiling is just inherently creepy looking because their faces are...
It's almost like they're hyenas.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
very much just hyenas standing up on their back legs, pretty much. These are
Terrifying.
very canine gnolls. They're not like World of Warcraft gnolls that mostly just look like... They're straight up hyenas that are standing on their back legs. Except they got hand paws.
That's creepy.
Cue hyena laugh.
And as they shake hands, they release, she bows her head, and the man turns and walks with the slaves into town. The Gnoll guards only take them about halfway down the road before the mixed human races mercenaries take over, marching them towards you into the town, past you and into the town itself.
Well,
Looks like business is good for them.
yeah. Slaves is usually pretty good. I could make somebody invisible. I could attempt to get in, and see if there's a good way for all of us to get in.
Or we could be here for business.
Or that. We could say, we're all just looking to buy some slaves.
A number of us have been involved in the trade at least once.
Mm.
You would
Fair
be,
enough.
You're literally a drow.
from your own memories, you have a
Yeah.
drow, who I don't know if he was raised in the Darklands at all, but the rest of you would be
Yeah, I came
familiar
from the
with the
Darklands.
general workings of the slave trade from, well, your
Being
unwilling
in it.
participation in it.
7 years.
From the whole being slaves thing.
1,000 years dungeon. So yeah, I mean, that could very well work. I will walk up and tell them that I'm looking to get some more slaves.
More? What's that supposed to mean?
It means his old ones died and he needs some more.
Are you implying we're your slaves?
No.
Well, he didn't really set up a plan. He walked up and just said, "Hey, I'm looking for slaves."
No, I'm
And,
not. Well, I'm saying that's what I'm going to. I'm not.
Oh, I thought you said you were
I-
doing
no,
it. I was like,
no,
I was like,
we're-
"Shit,
We're,
you're doing
we're
it.
back
We're doing it."
discussing the plan now.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking.
Oh, I thought you were literally saying, "I'm walking up
I'm
and saying,
going
hey, I
to."
want to buy some slaves." I was like,
No.
"Oh,
It's,
okay."
yeah, it's to them.
So as the humans and the slaves leave, the rest of the null mercenaries that marched them out are all now just standing at attention, up near the further end of the road. And after these slaves pass you into town, the leader of these hyenas motions, and the rest of the mercenaries turn around and march back in, leaving, half of them do, leaving 4 of them outside, and the 2 posted by the door who have not moved a muscle while you've been watching them. As the other 4 march inside, shortly afterward, with another clank, the portcullis starts to slide shut, and the leader starts to walk towards the group of you and the town with the 4 other mercenaries flanking her.
All right, you're here to do business, Omereth. We're your guards. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
So
I mean,
within a few seconds, they're
Yeah.
passing you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll approach, because it's just slaves everywhere. It's not like a shady thing. It's not like, hey, get some slaves.
No,
Like,
there's markets though.
I mean, yeah, but I just visibly saw, like some prime stock coming out of there. Big dudes. I want some of that.
Probably requires an appointment, but you do you.
I mean, we can make an appointment for tomorrow then. That's fine. I'm gonna talk to
Well,
them.
I don't
I mean,
know,
as
speaking
you-
of Captain the Guard, but go.
As you step forward, the 4 mercenaries immediately stop and ready their halberds and point at you, and make a noise that almost just sounds like a bark. None of them acknowledge you at all until you step towards the leader, at which point they all, as one, point at you.
That's fucking
Leader.
teamwork.
She wasn't really paying attention. She was just sort of walking forward. Kind of stops and looks up and raises an eyebrow and just kind of looks over the party because you guys are, well, fairly
Pretty
richly
geared.
dressed,
Yeah.
kitted with all sorts of magical gear. And she looks the group of you up and down, looks at Omereth, and doesn't say anything, just looks at you.
What time of day is it? I don't want to say good evening, and it'd be like
I mean,
the
it's, imagine this is,
early morning.
Just greeting people
imagine
for
this is, it's like noonish.
Okay, so yeah, like good afternoon.
Yeah.
I would. I saw some of the men that you had coming out from the back there, and I was hoping that I could possibly get some of those before they went to the markets, and anyone else could get their hands on them.
She just kind of looks you up and down. Most sales are generally conducted in the flesh fairs. You come to my fortress to discuss business.
Yes, I wanted to see just the best of them, and those all look terrific. I was hoping to see if I could get some before, like I said, a bunch of people started bidding on them or anything like that.
She kind of narrows her eyes a bit. Unconventional, but understandable. If you've come to me, clearly you place value on good stock.
That I do.
Meet me at my estate tonight. We can discuss.
Happily, thank you.
She nods, and all 4 guards put their halberds back at their sides, and they immediately start walking forward. She doesn't tell you where it is or anything. She just says, "Meet me at my estate."
Yeah, I imagine we could find where this person lives. She has guards. It's gonna be a real nice place. Anyway, that went well. We weren't stabbed.
You were, in fact, not stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to the party. So what do you guys care to do until then? You want to just look around the area and see if we can figure out where she is staying, and then maybe just find somewhere to lay low for a little while?
Yeah, let's find the estate. Priority
could
one.
find
So-
out where the estate was and maybe discuss this plan a little more thoroughly before jumping into it.
No, I mean, of course, that's what I mean. Somewhere to lay low and talk about what we're about to do.
Well, you have at least one very easy way to find out where she lives.
Stalk her.
Follow her.
You could just follow her.
I mean, yeah, Cornel, if you care to, just become a bird. Follow her. Okay, or don't. That's fine.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Pretty good idea. Best idea Joe's ever had.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty solid idea.
I just
I dig it.
wait until they're,
Yeah,
out
far
of
enough
view
away.
and don't see me do it. But
Yeah,
then,
they'll just walk up behind her and be like, "Hey, look what I can do," and turn into a bird, and then just follow after her.
Look what I can do.
Yeah.
look what I can do.
So you wait till she's gone a bit. I mean, you're at the edge of town here, so there's all sorts of buildings you could just kind of stand around and transform into a bird out of sight of her and her cadre of guards. And you transform into bird, and you just sort of shadow her as she walks across town. She doesn't
Turn
go
into like a crow or something that would be attracted by the smell of the
Yeah, makes sense to me.
like tannery and stuff.
Oh, alcohol. Oh.
She doesn't go horribly far. With your bird's eye view of the city, you can see that the only area that has any sort of decent estates is again up here in the foothills of the mountains. She goes a bit back, following the main road nearby, back towards the north end and up into the richer areas of Okino, where she heads into easily the largest and most lavish of the manors up in the mountains. It's a truly massive estate, surrounded by stone walls on all sides. Not quite castle walls. I mean, it's not meant to repel an invasion or anything, but she's just got big 20, 30-foot high stone walls circling around all sides and one bridge that leads across a small valley to the front of this whole estate. And nestled inside these walls is a large mansion surrounded by gardens on all sides. And her guards escort her into the building itself.
Probably could have just looked around and guessed that was it without actually following her.
Would have
I
been a
mean-
relatively safe guess, yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
still,
okay,
always
I think
good to
so.
know. Oh, I can't wait.
Probably see them like just getting kind of near the place and be like, yeah, that's it, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that there are, like at the Blossoming Thorn, 2 guards posted by the bridge itself leading into her house. These guards appear to be much larger than the guards at the Blossoming Thorn itself, but they are the only 2 that you can see, other than, of course, the 4 that she's walking with.
I mean, we're obviously not there. He flew over there, so just
Yeah.
waiting for him to return.
Well, I guess I'd take, a quick look around the outside, see if there's anything notable, and then head back.
And, imagine do like a perception. See if you can find anything like well, no, you can't cast any spells or do anything up while you're up there, can you?
Yeah, Ken.
I absolutely can.
You can
Well,
cast
like
everything
while
that's
you're
up there.
flying?
He does whatever he
Yes.
wants.
He does whatever he wants.
At some
All right.
point, I'm gonna need somebody to keep track of how many consecutive weeks Joe is surprised that he can cast spells while transformed into an animal. Because I think we're on 3.
Well, How
No.
many weeks have we played?
No, it's not that he can cast it while he's an animal. I said up there. Like, can he
Oh.
cast while also using his arms as wings?
He doesn't have
Yes,
one of
because
his
he
wings.
do like do gestures with his talons or some shit.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But that's what I was asking, because like you
Yeah,
Animating
your
dance.
hands are taken up to do a cast, and so if his hands are currently occupied flapping,
I don't have
yeah.
hands.
you know what I mean. Your top appendages.
His somatic components for his spells are just
Things a natural animal could do.
just animal motions.
Animal motions. Alright,
it's,
fair enough.
just animal motions.
Let me
So, yeah.
smash.
You can cast spells.
Okay, fair enough.
Here.
It'd just be a good idea to, I don't know, check to see if
You want
there's
to see? That's just the general layout of the estate.
that's a big old state.
It's not like on a grid or anything, but that's just an overhead view.
Christ.
That's big.
Pretty big. She is
Does she
pretty
have a
wealthy.
church in her in the back of her house?
And you can't see it in the actual rooms. of course,
No, I know
but
that.
it
This is obviously meta. I'm just curious. Like, that looks to be like a church almost.
Take me to church.
Because I mean, like, not haha. Like, there's
worship
literally
like a dog.
there's like literally like painted glass.
Yeah, she has a whole lot of assorted like stained glass windows throughout the house. Some of the doors even appear to be massive swinging iron frames with a stained glass design in the center.
That's pretty dope. Cool house. But the only reason I brought it up was just like it's like magic or something, just to see if there's any wards that she has. But I mean, up to
Oh, there we go. I was like, I can't bring you back to the cover. Roll 20 is
No.
dying.
We don't have a
Please
map of the city, do we? Like I mean,
no,
the
I don't.
shithole.
damn,
Yeah.
I like those city maps.
Those are
Yeah,
always really
I
cool.
don't know that there is one for Okino.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I always like looking at maps of cities, like how everything labeled.
That's fair. No, there's not one for Okino because everyone's just like, hey, we could do a campaign where in Okino, and they're like, or we could just not. So there's no big map for it.
I mean, I want to play as a Knoll sometime. Knolls are cool.
Ugh,
I mean, they're fucked up, but they're cool.
they're stupid.
I like the Pathfinder knows are very interesting just because again they're huge, just hyena people.
Yeah.
Big doggos.
Big doggos.
I'm not saying
have
I'm
to-
a furry, but nah.
I have to wonder, unironically, if a like person like dog would still like the same kind of scratches.
There's one way to find out.
Curiosities with
the
Umra.
problem
is either it's
That's not
basically
curiosity for Overeth.
gonna be as though you greater commanded them, or they're gonna get a free rage.
They just
Like-
get they're either gonna get charmed or enrage. But anyway, but no, that was not Overeth. Overeth doesn't care about fucking dog people.
Tell me Umra doesn't want to scratch the doggos? Is that what
I
you're
mean, of
saying?
course, he's not a furry, is he?
No, he's not.
Exactly. That's why.
Oh, that's just like there's such weird things walking around on the surface.
Yes.
This is the guy with friends who are half spider.
What?
Yeah, well, that's normal to him.
That's
Fucking
the joke I'm
drivers.
making. Yeah, goddamn drivers.
Look what I found.
Is it
Oh, wow.
names? Nice!
The poop hole.
Hey,
It's not part of the campaign, but it's a map of Okino I found.
Damn, I
So
did not realize it was that easy to fucking port maps in. Good God.
yeah, it's really easy to port maps. in.
yeah, I literally
Nice.
just dragged the image in here. Like there we go.
Also,
So,
yeah.
did not
Trump
think that
it.
that was how the city was spelled.
Where's it? Oh, okay, now. Yeah, I see.
so you guys
I was thinking
are
OCCAMO. Like,
you're currently like off the map up here, like up into the foothills there, and Blossoming Thorn is right about there. It's not actually on the map, but the richer areas are this just whole northern thing, just on everything on the north side of the river, and then the further up into the actual foothills you go, the richer it gets.
Oh, so like up here
hitting
by
the
13
wine
is
country?
like the leader of the city kind of rich.
Yeah, like this lady's estate kind of leader of the city, kind of rich. Yeah.
Oh, boom.
Hi, she very much has the largest place you can see,
Oh,
as well as the Blossoming Thorn just being a wildly oversized fortress for being parked outside of city.
is the
Yeah.
city like in Badlands, or is that just the way the map is?
It's just the way the map is, because it's not. It might just be the city itself looks like garbage because
It does.
yeah the area
Yeah,
around
it's
it is
literally
like
garbage.
green mountains. Like it's
Huh.
it's nestled at the foot of these large green forested mountains. So I think it's just wanton disregard for the environment that probably stomped it into being dead garbage, but is nothing but piles of animal dung and leather working vats staining the ground. And I mean, nobody's taking care of it, so this small area probably looks like Badlands.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, Okino is a very gross place.
Well,
But yeah, I just take a quick look around and then go back to everybody.
So you head back and you tell them what you saw.
See them
You-
trying to
you
look,
know where,
trying to catch a different crow that they think is me.
you know. So you know where the Knoll woman's estate is.
alright. If you guys care to, we can discuss what exactly we want to do there. Like, she's invited us there, so I imagine we're not gonna have to do any hard work to get inside. Hopefully they, the guards out front will be informed that we're coming. But once we're inside, do you want to, try to be nice about getting information, or are we just going to?
I mean, why would we be rude?
I mean, who knows? Just
I mean,
curious.
be kind of nice, I guess. But like, also, I guess try to play up the fact that you aren't human and do things differently to like cover for any slip-ups we might have.
Fair. And I don't come here often. I'm
Drow. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that you're a drow
Yeah.
alone, if she knows what a drow is, would probably give her reason to trust you. At least that you're
Yeah.
a slaver.
Yeah.
Speaking of, though, have there been, other than her, have we heard any gnolls in the city speaking English? Or common, I should
Yes,
say?
the Knolls do mostly speak common.
Okay.
They.
Losers.
Let me actually double check. I don't even know if they have a unique language. I think they just speak common. No, there is actually a Knoll language. So a lot of them would converse amongst themselves in a Knoll language, but since the city is, of the people that aren't slaves, a fairly 50-50 split between Knolls and humans, most business is conducted in common because most Knolls also know common and most humans don't also know Knoll.
Okay.
I speak Null.
Oh, I have to.
No.
Damn it.
I know 14 languages and I don't, but fun fact, I only know 13. Sign language is on there twice.
It's
You sure didn't
ASL
put
and
time
whatever
It's
the hell
sign
the
language
other
and
kind-
Drow sign language.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I thought
I
Drow
was
was
making a
its own
joke, but it
language.
really is ASL and whatever type.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was Drow was its own language and then
Nah,
Drow
Drow
sign
sign
language. Or, I mean, then sign language again.
Under
Okay.
common is Drow.
Fucking
Ouch.
Drow.
Ow. That hurt. Undercommon is Drow language? Okay.
Why is
I
that?
see
Yeah,
where-
that's what it is.
No, I know. I
Isn't
just.
Drow sign language a secret language?
He's
Yeah, but
literally
a
a Drow.
Drow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
a
mean,
secret language to Drow.
Yeah. That's like, isn't
I mean-
Druidic a secret language? Yeah, he's a Druid. It's like,
yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It is, yes.
just being a secret language that's associated with the race doesn't show like, I mean, everybody knows it.
yeah, I mean, Drow sign language, he's a Drow, it's literally from the Darklands, so he knows Drow sign language, but like if you're an
Makes sense.
average human on the
It's-
the surface, you can't just like learn it as one of your bonus languages, no. It's not as guarded as like Druidic is.
Yeah. Like, I don't know Druidic, obviously.
Oh, it's just cool
Yes.
to have a secret language.
Yeah,
Yeah,
None
that's
of us
pretty
do.
cool.
I think
I
it's
wanna make
basically
sure-
impossible
Wait,
to learn
okay.
Druidic without being a Druid or convincing a Druid to stop being a Druid.
Yeah. Could I teach them languages?
Would take time and a
Obviously.
linguistics rank.
Oh. Do I have
So you could
do I not
teach
have
them, and then when you
linguistics?
guys level up, they could learn it by putting a rank in linguistics and learning it. If you wanted to dedicate to that.
Or we spent 3 months on a boat and fucking did shit every day. Maybe they'll give you one for free.
Boom. Yeah, I have linguistics 15, so they would just have to have it to, and then I could teach you guys secret languages.
Well, a secret language.
I thought we had one other one that was secret. No, just the Drow sign
it's
language.
just Drow sign language. None of the rest of yours are secret.
No. I just wanted to learn a bunch of crazy ones like Treant and Abyssal and Cyclops.
Yeah, I mean, Cyclops might be. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. Cyclops isn't commonly known, but it's not like a secret language. It's just one
Yeah.
that like most people don't
It's like
know.
someone knowing Latin. Like,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Not-
It's exactly
not
what it
really.
is. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys do?
I guess wait at our time in any,
So, so
the
you're
nicer
interested in buying slaves, and you're really picky, which is why you want to go there and look yourself.
Yeah, and I also don't want to deal with all the other people that are bidding.
And
I'm
rear
willing
guards.
to. And I'm willing to pay a little extra to not deal with that if she mentions money at all. But yeah, that sounds like a fine plan to me. We can just stroll up to the gate and hopefully they'll just let us in.
Do
I'm
we
gonna
have a means to communicate if we get split up? Because for all we know, if they won't let us in to the slave pits with you, or
True.
only some of us.
No. I don't think we have. Unless I have one, like a super cool spell.
I can throw up like rocks, like an earthquake signal.
You don't even have to throw them. You
The
just gather
greatest
power.
earthquake the North has ever seen.
Sounds like you guys got a real solid plan.
Hey, do spells.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
I know, I'm sorry.
What are you holding on to?
A mouse right now.
Where's the thing? Say in spells if when I can just make it I can
Next to
dismiss it.
duration, it'll have a D.
Damn it. So no, that's
dismissible.
permanent. Shit. I was gonna say I would just do arcane marks on all of us and then just dismiss it if there was a problem.
No,
So you
that's
just
like super permanent.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well,
No, I don't seem to. Oh wait, yeah, I have message, which is I can whisper a message at a great distance, and its duration 10 minutes per level, range 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. So that's
Pretty
no
far.
classes being within
220 feet.
I guess that's not that low in just a manner.
hmm And I can say it to one creature per level. Like I can whisper the message to one creature per level, which obviously is all of you.
So keep in mind, you have to hold up your finger and point at the person you're whispering to as you whisper.
Oh, I have to have line of sight.
Well, you don't need line of sight, but that's just a big obvious motion. And it's basically shooting invisible fucking magic out of your finger that's sending the message. But like most magic, a foot of stone will block the spell. So if you're like inside those castle walls, well, not castle walls, but like the walls around your estate,
We
and
can't
they're
talk
not,
outside.
you wouldn't be able to send a message through the walls.
Damn.
Also, don't you have to actually speak in message, which like makes the
You
DC
do have to
difficult, but you
actually-
can still overhear it?
Yeah, you have to whisper. It's a DC 25 perception check because you're literally whispering. You are physically whispering. They're just hearing like you're whispering right next to them. So anybody near you could still hear you whispering, and if they have decent perception, could hear exactly what you're whispering.
Gratian could hear you from across the room without a roll.
Yes.
Stop being so loud.
Fair enough. And then if I were to, just out of curiosity, if I were to silent cast that with the meta magic rod, would that
It would-
include my whispering would be silent?
No, because you still that would make this
I'm still
casting the
just
spell
whispering.
itself. Because it's still a regular spell you have to cast normally,
Mhm.
and then you do it by whispering. You would still need to whisper the messages, but that would make the
Yeah,
casting of the spell silent.
Okay. To make
I'm
it
gonna
still, I'd have to
whistle
prep
spell.
it that way,
Right.
which would make it first level, because it is a 0 level spell.
Exactly.
Okay. If you guys want, I can take that just as a precaution to attempt to talk to you if you are in just another room. But if you are left outside, then there's nothing I can do to talk to you.
I think we just need to do it old school without the magic.
Okay, that's fair. Then let's go to her estate and have a conversation about slaves.
I mean, hopefully we won't get separated, but knowing our luck.
So, the four of you.
Oh, before we go in there, I'm sorry. What exactly should I be asking her outside of this? Like, once I get in there, like, then I'm not really talking to her about slaves. Like, what is the exact thing that we're here for talking to her about?
Looking for slaves, and you'd like to see the slaves.
No, the real thing. The reason we
Are we
teleported
going
here.
to tell her?
Are we not dealing with her to find out information about Lowell's?
He didn't have the vision. Omrath literally doesn't know why you're here. He's asking,
Oh, he's
what are
asking
we
in
actually
character.
doing?
Yeah, like why? What am I talking to her
Well,
about?
What
I
is the
can't
goal
tell if
here?
it's you or.
No, I'm trying to as stay in character as possible.
We're on a rescue mission. Maybe. As far as we can tell, we're on a rescue mission.
This helps me not at all.
Do we know what the female voice diminution looks like? I mean, we saw the doll looking
I mean,
thing.
yeah,
but
you-
do we know that that's her?
You also, well, you saw the doll when you the time shit that was happening. But
The
you
doll
also,
was different.
in one of the original visions, you saw a strange, like, pink alien creature with too many arms, and a very old Kelishite woman kind of overlaid on top of each other. But that's the only person you've seen other than yourselves and Lowell's in the visions.
Hmm. An old Kalashite woman, maybe?
Let's just see all the Slayers and maybe we recognize someone.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully we can all see them together.
Whoever this is, I don't know if they'll be kept with the normal slaves.
True. So then we say, hey, I would like to see all the slaves, and then I will attempt to see if
Like,
there is any
hey,
slave sit.
like,
Be like,
Do
hey, I
you
know
have
that
any
you might
rare
have some...
finds?
Yeah, be like, hey, you might have, like, I don't know, maybe a very special race that you might be keeping that I'm willing to pay top dollar for.
Well, like a drow.
So I
Yes.
mean, that'll work. I'm not talking to them.
I was responding to Larkin.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, having a drow as a slave would be pretty strange. Seeing as usually they go and get slaves.
I'm pretty sure they enslave each other all the time, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
maybe. I thought they just killed one
definitely-
another.
they do that too.
why
Yeah, I
kill
mean,
when you
yeah.
can enslave?
I mean, I guess, but you can't really
Why
get them to
kill
work
when you
for
could
you.
use them to combine themselves to parts of your body and, turn into like a drider or to...
They find the family, kill the husband, rape the wife, and then sell the children into slavery. It's
Anyway.
a very simple society, but it works.
And,
Not really, but
okay, so let's go talk to... Believe that is all that we need to know.
All right, so when are you heading over?
Nighttime, like she said.
So you
Like
have
evening, I guess.
you got the better part of a day to just kind of hang out and whatnot. So Okino is a, well, relatively terrible place, although admittedly it does have just kind of the general features you would expect from a city of this size. So however it is you want to pass the time, there are still going to be bars and places you can drink. There are still going to be general sources of entertainment. And you would notice up
Hey.
here... What?
We may want to find the least bad inn that we can, in case we discuss this tonight and she's like, come back tomorrow to see them.
Yeah,
Well-
fair enough.
Up here right near where you guys are by the Blossoming Thorn at 12 on the map, just barely to the east of you, there is a massive, what appears to just be a huge entertainment district. You see a lot of pinstriped, multicolored tents, some of which are truly enormous in scale, set up. And there are a whole lot of slaves and what appear to be regular skilled workers walking around setting things up. It looks like a giant circus.
I say we set up camp on the outskirts of town.
Yeah, fair.
I
Just
got
find
no
the
interest in
most-
spending time or money in a slave city.
Yeah, just find the most quiet area that we can and not deal with anyone. Sounds like the best bet. I don't care to be back in this kind of area, really.
Want to check out the circus?
Not particularly. I can only imagine that it is a very, very disturbing circus. It is a circus at all.
So,
I'm fine.
Fine, I'll ask somebody about it.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, yeah, you can, if you want to ask about the service, you're just going to walk down there.
Just get relatively nearby and ask somebody, what's going on. We just
I'm-
arrived.
I'm gonna go with him.
Do you so you stop and ask one of the workers, and I would assume that you would have the intelligence to ask something that looks like it's not a slave, an actual,
Oh, yeah.
just some variety of
Something that looks like a skeleton.
of skilled worker there. And as you ask one of the craftsmen there, it seems to be working with a large pile of wood, setting up some sort of a stage outside one of the tents. So you walk up to him. What do you What are you saying?
Say, like, just arrived in town, might be here a little bit, wondering what's going on in this particular area.
And he is hammering something, and he doesn't turn to acknowledge you or anything. He just keeps hammering away. He just kind of grunts out. Nick shows in a few days. 3, we got the setup. Nothing till then.
And what kind of show might it be?
And he's just still hammering, still doesn't turn to you. You never been to a fucking circus before, you dumb.
No,
I didn't know different
Savage.
types in different areas.
Yeah, acrobatics, animals, the damn bearded ladies. I got work to do, lad.
Gotcha. I'll leave you to it.
Nobody in this town so far seems terribly friendly.
Yeah, not surprising.
Fuck you, cunt. He doesn't seem terribly friendly.
So, not a whole lot to be learned about the circus, other than, well, it's a circus. It does circus stuff.
It looks like a circus. It's literally a circus.
It looks
Who
like a
would've guessed?
circus. It's a fucking circus. Go away, I'm busy.
Whenever we hang out there, some guy will come with a Tommy gun and shoot all the adults, but a kid will survive.
Okay, Gotham, calm down.
Yeah, really.
Anyway.
Fingers crossed.
This isn't
So-
old town. It's full of dogs, not bats.
You guys had Grace, you wanted to, so you guys are literally just setting up camp like just outside of town. You're just gonna camp by the road.
Yeah.
Do you have stuff to camp with?
I mean, I have like a bedroll.
Just literally just
think
gonna
I
lay
got
down
at least-
bedrolls just to have a campfire, just hang out and do. Alright, fair enough.
I
Don't want to
even
spend money
have
in
a
a cyber
bedroll.
city.
Whatever. I'll
I mean-
fucking sleep on the ground to stay out of the fucking city.
Yeah, it's just not
That's fair.
it's a super gross place.
So you
I
just
won't
do
sleep.
you do the best
Oh.
you can to just kind of distance yourself from Okino, and yet I imagine just like on the outskirts out here, nearby to where you're gonna be heading into the estates, but not in the town. Whole area just smells generally foul. It's full of slave laborers and gnolls and awful people, and you don't want no part of it. Understandable. You camp outside until the sun starts to move towards the horizon and it becomes evening, and then I imagine you pack up and head towards the Knowles estate. Umbrath leading, of course, playing the role as the buyer is the plan.
Yep.
Yep.
These are my
And as you head up, you
Pointed
have
guards.
the two Knoll guards outside the front, and each one has a falchion sheathed across their back, and they are kitted out in full armor, like proper metal breastplates, and have a quiver of javelins on their back as well. And
My
each
word.
one,
I was just saying my word. Just
Each
so
one-
ready for combat.
each one has like a dark green cape draped over their shoulders. As you approach, they both just kind of look at you and move their hands to the hilt of their falchions. And one of them just kind of huffs. The other one barks out, "Business!"
It barks out.
Shh, stop talking. Yes, we have business here. The lady of the house should be expecting.
And the knoll just kind of nods its head towards the doorway and eyes the rest of the group. Is it them?
They're with me. I'll need my guards with me always.
Don't make trouble.
Wouldn't think. And I'll just continue on.
So, the one that's been talking to you goes in first and leads you actually towards the building, leaving just the one guard outside, and I assume all of you follow. And she leads you into the estate itself and back through a pretty grand entry hall with a roaring fire down near the southern end of the room and a gathering of large overstuffed just couches and massive poofy chairs. And you can see a couple of gnolls, like just 2 or 3, relaxing in this large hall, and one woman who's dressed in pretty traditional Kalashite fashion, just like leaning back across an entire couch, drinking from a almost comedically oversized goblet of wine.
Nice.
And there's only 4 people in the room that look like they're actually relaxing, and about 6 female slaves. 1 or 2 of them just dot around waiting on each individual person in the room. The guard leads you straight through this hall into an office where the Gnoll, where another Gnoll, not the same Gnoll, but another one who, again, this, I imagine most of you are probably not familiar with Gnolls, and it would look almost comical to see a Gnoll in a suit with a monocle sat behind a desk with an abacus going over a bunch of finances. He would just kind of look at you and nod and huff as you walk through, and the guard would nod back. And you pass through into a back room, which is a large, lavish stone bathroom. It's got to be at least 30 feet across. And in a tub in the middle that appears to be full of milk, there is the Gnoll from earlier, surrounded by what has to be like a half dozen slaves currently tending to anything. And the guard walks in and just motions for the rest of you to follow.
Please tell me one of them is just slowly pouring more milk into the tub.
Oh, of course.
Hell yeah.
Get the milk worm.
Yeah, gotta keep it swirling. There's like magic you could use for that, but why not use slaves?
Oh, you have slaves. They're cheaper than magic.
No, exactly.
Why don't you throw like a fucking flaming hands down there?
I mean, prestidigitation can literally change the temperature of liquid. You could just cast prestidigitation on it over and over again.
Yeah, or slaves.
Slaves, yeah, or
Yeah.
slaves,
If you
yeah.
have a
I just said,
nearly
we need to-
inexhaustible supply of slaves.
We
I'm
need to deal with
sure-
this shit quick because she's gonna get her powers back if she keeps hanging out in all that milk.
Anyway,
You notice
Thanks,
again
Joe.
that all of the slaves tending to her are also female. All the slaves you've seen throughout her estate are female,
Fucking
and they are
Cleopatra.
all either very slender humans or half elves. And as you come in, she turns and notices the rest of you and sits up a bit in the tub. Says, again, welcome. We did not properly exchange names earlier, but seeing as you've come to me for fine stock, I assume you're already familiar. But what is yours?
the name is Omereth, and I'll actually smile for the first time. It's a pleasure to meet you again.
And she nods and snaps, and all of the slaves kind of stop and take a step back from the tub. And she just turns her body fully and just rests her elbows on the side of it, just looking towards you. So, Omereth, it's interesting. I have had very few experiences with drow who trade on the surface. And in my experience, those who are after stock here aren't typically interested in purchasing it. So, indulge me, if you will. What brings a drow such as yourself to buy man stock from a city such as Okino?
I'm very picky about my stock, and so I was hoping that you might have something very nice that I could get. I don't want
And
just common folk.
she smiles a bit, which again is very terrifying.
Creepy,
as it,
yeah.
it kind of bears
Spiky
all
teeth,
of her
yeah.
all of her teeth. And she wait 1 second here. I have something for this. Boom doggo. She
Damn, that's a
Just-
hot dog.
Talking.
Look at that hair. Good God.
No, stop.
Is that real hair or is it a wig? That's
She
nice.
smiles a bit and says,
All of
well,
her is real.
Omereth, as I'm sure you're already aware, you have come to the right place. Surely there is no stock finer than what you will find with me. I keep only the best in the Blossoming Thorn, and it's, well, she just kind of gestures around the room. I'd imagine my estate speaks for itself.
It truly does.
I suffer no lapse in quality, I assure you.
Wonderful to hear. Now, are we going to view all of them in here, or is there a better place to view
all of
And
them.
she just laughs. Here! No! These are just my personal stock. Weak, frail breeds, but... And she just kind of reaches out and touches the cheek of one of them, and the slave smiles. And she says, I like the look of these ones. They're so gentle. Anyway, no. If you want the sturdier stock, such as you saw this afternoon, you'll come by the Blossoming Thorn and I'll show you myself. But I must warn you, I did just finish a fairly large transaction, and I do not have the numbers I usually do. What exactly are you looking for, Omereth?
Well, I'm looking for, like I said before, very sturdy, powerful, like slaves, and I would also like to see if there's anything rare that you might have. Things that aren't commonly sold.
She kind of raises an eyebrow. If you're looking for, again, quality and the, well, general skill of the stock, I will show you. Everything I have is rare, but I don't fully feel I understand your request. You need these stocks for, are you looking for slaves not for work? If you're looking for curiosities, I'm afraid that's not any way that I can help you. And she kind of sinks back into the tub a little bit more and leans back.
Well, no, not curiosities. I need some for work, of course, but I was just curious as I am here looking. I'm willing to pay exceptional money if you have anything that is not normally used as a slave or found as being slaves.
She raises an eyebrow and she just kind of staring at you for a minute. I must admit, an odd request. Come to the most powerful slaver in Okino, seeking something other than slave stock. You have motives, I feel, that you're not being entirely forthcoming with, Omereth.
No motives, really. Just looking to find some interesting things as well as just the common stuff. And I had heard that you are absolutely the best, so I figured if anyone was to have something quite rare, it would be you.
So she smiles again. Says, you will meet me outside the Blossoming Thorn tomorrow at noon. I will show you what stock I have, and you will decide. Now, surely if you're looking for such quality stock, and I'm to take the time to show you personally, I imagine the resources at your disposal, a deposit of 1,000 gold is no hassle.
Not at all. I'll motion for the bank bag.
And as you that, she says, you understand, it's a client I don't recognize with some very well-fitted guards in his retinue, coming to me personally with no form of an introduction. It's interesting circumstances, to say the least, and I don't want my time wasted.
Of course not. I fully understand. You are always just looking to do business. And
See.
hopefully I was handed the bag.
Who has the money sack, and are we giving it to Omereth?
I mean, don't we all?
Well,
have one? Didn't we get more than one?
No, literally everybody but him has one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm motioning
Is
for the
anybody giving
money.
him a money sack?
And I'll give him a goddamn money sack. Jesus.
Yeah. I'll reach in and pull out. I'm not gonna say a fucking platinum piece because that's not 1,000 gold. I'll pull out whatever 1,000 gold is because there's the
That's 100 platinum.
It's 100 platinum.
I thought there was a thing like there was a little like metal plate that would be said for 1,000 gold, and you could hand that in at the bank. And
Well,
they
you
would...
grab the bag, and you reach into the bag, and it's about a fist-sized pouch, and it doesn't appear to have anything in it.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck,
yeah.
that's right. So I'll leave my hand at like holding it out, and like, oh, I don't know, shit. They like they would know that they had to pull the money out for me.
Yes, they would know this
Yeah,
when the account holder
so-
has to reach in the bag to get the money.
Yeah. So having it in my hand, I will like let one of them reach it out for me. So again, it looks like they're guards, and they're doing things.
I imagine Gratian would look the most like the one who handles the money out of.
He probably
Yeah.
does. He probably looks like the wealthiest.
The
of
reason,
the
yeah, the
five
reason
here.
I keep him around is to deal with my money.
If there's someone who looks like he might be the accountant, Gratian looks like he might be the
butt
accountant.
boy.
There you
Shut
go.
up. Anyway, so yeah, he like I said, there is a thing that is says that it's 1,000, and they can trade it in for that, right?
In a house of
That's
Abadar,
only
yes.
if you're. Yeah, that's
Oh,
only if you're
shit,
in
yeah.
range of a House of Abadar.
Oh fuck. I'm not about
Make
to
a
pour
knowledge local check.
I was gonna say I'm not about to pour 1,000 gold in this lady's tub right now. Am I? And just be like, here you go.
Fucking make it rain! Bath time, bitch!
Here's your bath. All right, knowledge
You don't
local.
pour 1,000 gold. You pour 100 platinum.
You know, there would definitely, in a city of this size, especially a slaver port that exists purely for trade, there
Pulled
would
you into
almost
this fucking
certainly
bank.
being a House of Abadar here, and you could pull out
Bank church.
a token and hand
Okay,
it to
yeah.
her.
I'll give her 1,000 gold token.
So you pull it out, and you move toward her, and the guard immediately steps in front of you and takes the token from you, and looks at it and turns to her and nods. Which is excellent. Now, feel free to take advantage of my hospitality while you are here. There is. She just kind of looks at Gratian. Specifically Gratian and maybe Cornell. And she says, there's another Varisian here in my employ. I must admit I don't see many of their race and Okino here, but your retinue seem more partners than guards, and that's a long journey from home to be here. Any of the slaves, of course, can provide you with food and drink should you need it.
Ah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was
If you will
a
leave me.
pleasure. Finishing bath
And
time.
she snaps again. The slaves all immediately go back to what they were doing when you came in. And go back to milk bath time.
Yep. I'll just nod and wave my hand, giving her one last mildly rare smile. Trying to be nice. As
So
you can
as
imagine.
you walk out, the
it'll-
guard
smile on.
the guard comes with you, leading you as he did before, and he leads you back through the office and back into the front room. And then he posts up by the door leading into the office from that front area, and he leaves you back and stops leading you when you get back in the area that had the woman and the two gnolls and the 6 or so slaves darting around. And as you get in there, as you enter that room, whether you're just going for the front door or not, the guard barks, and two of the slaves that look like they're doing the least immediately turn. They kind of look around the rest of the slaves, and they both rush over to the group of you. And it's a very, very small gnome woman. And but the only one you've seen that's not a really thin human or half elf, but she's still a very tiny, slender gnome and a very dark-skinned half elf. They both approach and just nod their heads and stand in the general vicinity of you.
I'll just wave to the guys. If you want anything, obviously talk to them. I'm gonna attempt to. I'm gonna use. I'm gonna silently cast with the meta magic rod, detect magic, and try to be not super obvious about it. And it says concentration 1 minute
So you're
per
gonna
level.
silently, but you're still. It's not still. Do you have a still prep, or are you still?
I
doing
do not have it
actions?
prepped still. No, yeah. But I meant like, without saying any words, they would have to attempt to actually understand what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, they would have to. I mean, as far as the null's concerned, you're just doing weird shit.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
he
just-
looks weird.
Yeah, I'm a drow. Like,
Yeah, you
I have
do
no idea
look
what I'm
weird.
doing. Yeah.
The null looks a little concerned, but doesn't say anything. And as you detect magic in the room, you
And
don't.
What I wanted to know, real quick, the
Yeah.
concentration. I have to roll a concentration check for every 1 minute I want to use past the immediate usage.
No, you can hold detect magic for as long as you want.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Concentration
this is-
means as long as you decide to concentrate on the spell.
Oh, up till 12 minutes, because it's
Yeah.
1 minute per.
basically.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a
Um,
0 level spell, so you can just recast it again.
Oh
so it's
no,
over.
this is greater. 'Cause I
Oh,
wanted
greater
more
detect magic.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be the same concept.
Okay.
So as you cast greater detect magic on the room here without saying anything, you detect a few signatures. The Knoll guard, his falchion, his cloak, his breastplate, and there's one other signature on his chest are all magical. The woman laying on the couch has a few magical signatures on her, and a few of the various containers of liquid around the room, the large, what's basically a freaking pitcher of wine that she has on the table near her, is magical, as well as a small rack of potions on a shelf in the corner of the room. And the woman herself has a few magical signatures on her too. You also, let me check what the, how long ago did spells have to be cast for greater detect magic? Let's
In the
see.
days.
I'm gonna be ordering some food while you're doing this.
Yeah, like let them do that, and then also, I can concentrate on it. Can I like that means I can't do anything extraneous while concentrating, right? But
You can't do
like,
anything else that
speak.
would take like a standard action, yeah. But anything
Yeah,
else
so I
you
can like
do.
speak to people
Exactly.
while still holding it up. Okay, yeah. So I was just gonna ask one of the guards if there's anything that's like off limits. If not, I would like to look around her area and see some of the other slaves and like the other parts of her house, because it's exceptionally nice. And I just wanted to like just see the very nice house and her other slaves.
Noel Hoffs says, Princess Niano has extended her courtesy to board you here and provide you with food and drink. But you need not explore further. These slaves
Understood.
can fetch any you need. And she seems like, the Noel seems like she kind of struggles with common. Like she knows
Yeah.
it, but she's not super familiar with it.
Exactly.
You can also tell that there were quite a few spells in this room here that have been cast here. Some
And then-
within the last 12 days at this point.
Yeah.
And you can also tell that the woman laying on the couch, you can make a spellcraft check.
To see, yeah.
You can tell
what
she
was
is a caster.
cast.
Yes. How good is exact lethal? The last spell she cast was Invisibility Alarm.
Oh, that's cool. So now, which is, yeah, just tells you when people are invisible.
Yeah, it's you blanket an area and it makes a noise or immediately mentally alerts the caster if anybody invisible enters the area.
And I can only imagine that is this whole area we're standing in. Wait, can I tell the area it was cast on?
You can tell it's not here because you'd be able to detect you would be able to detect
Oh
the
yeah,
invisibility alarm.
literally the spell. Yeah, okay, so it's not here. Very strange. I don't know how to feel about that. That makes me very uncomfortable. So she just... Alright, not important.
Oh, Marath, you actually gonna eat this time? I'm ordering food.
No,
You never seem to want to eat.
nothing for me.
So you'd tell slave food for the four of you, and then her, she would nod, and the other one would nod, and they would both disappear through a different door.
Yep. No, nothing for me. I care not to eat any of this. So yeah, as they were going through the door, if it's at all possible, because I don't know how thick the walls are, so I have no idea if my spell is being stopped or if there's just nothing on the other side. I'd like to just at least position myself where I could look through the door and hopefully get the power to go through there
Through which
to
door?
see through any door that the slaves were going through,
Oh, yeah.
just in case the
with this
walls are
you-
stopping the spell.
Yeah, and as the door opens, they dart out, you don't detect anything through the door they went through.
Again, I'll tell the party, like, somewhat hushed, so no one can really hear us, that, like, how close is the Knoll guard? Like, not literally
Like,
standing next to us, but,
Fucking
like,
5 or 6 feet from you, like, you're
Okay,
just so
yeah.
near the wall there, unless you walk
Yeah,
out
exactly.
further into the room.
yeah. So I'll just inform them that I'm just doing this because, like you said, we could be looking for someone, and like if anything, they might have a distinct magical like feature, and with greater detect magic, if I catch it once, the next time I detect magic, and if I happen to see them, I can see who cast what and all that. So I was hoping to see if there's anything like that before, if any of you were curious.
Not particularly.
That's fine. But so yeah, I got nothing like very interesting, but I did catch that the woman laying over there, she cast invisibility alarm, but not on this area. It is cast somewhere else that I am not detecting.
Could be on
Interesting enough.
the fortress.
Yeah, it could be on the outer side, or it could be on the room that
I mean the other fortress. What's it called?
The Blossoming Thorn.
yeah.
The Blossoming Thorn. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could be on the room that the Knoll Princess is in. It could just be, obviously, so no one could be invisible in that room. All the same. I guess we just leave for now and come back tomorrow, like she said, to the Thorn. God, can't remember the name either. So no. We'll just go to the fortress tomorrow.
I don't know why it's so damn hard to remember the name of the fortress.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Blossoming Thorn.
So,
I know Cornel's ordering food though.
yeah,
So.
Cornel's getting food.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm
No,
sure
I'm saying
he is
like that's
unwilling
the
to
last.
leave immediately.
No, I'm not saying that's what. Again, I was talking to you guys. Like, I'm not saying that is what we're doing. I was just saying next we'll be leaving and coming back to the fortress.
Gotta schmooze a little bit.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I'm just gonna relax. I'll just sit back and if any like slaves come near me, I'll just wave them away.
Well, after
Don't want to talk to the other guests a
a
little bit?
few minutes, the two slaves would return with a few plates of food on platters, which looks like some variety of steak. It looks good. It smells fantastic. Clearly, the princess here does not skip out on hiring decent cooks.
That's what I was banking on. Probably the best food in this city.
Definitely the best food in this city. And
That's
the least
probably not
questionable.
saying much. Yes.
Is it?
So-
I mean, it's still probably questionable.
I mean, maybe. It's probably not
The
people.
least questionable.
It's probably not people. Thanks.
So, anyway. I mean, Colonel, do you want to? I mean, if you want to talk to people and whatnot, I mean, you can do whatever. You don't
I got
have
my
to
food,
have
I'm good.
the whole party A-okay to go talk to somebody. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel I should start talking to people, but I don't want to start asking them about her slaves because it's her stuff. I don't care to do anything too suspicious. Like, hey, have you seen any rare finds that she might not be telling me about? Wink. Like, so yeah.
Well, you can
Just act casual.
You can use a bluff roll to try to approach a subject discreetly. To try to, like, ask somebody without being like, hey, she got any fucking weird pink aliens in there maybe that we could buy? But to be more subtle about it, because this is one of those things that realistically, you have 8 bluff, and Umrath is probably, Joe probably has -3 bluff, and Umrath is probably way better at this than you are. So, I mean, I'm not going to limit what you want to do with Umrath by your own ability to be subtle about something. So, I mean, you can just roll a bluff roll to represent exactly how good Umrath is at doing what you want to do. But before we do that, let's do a pee break real quick, because A, I see Shemi getting on, and B, I got to pee real bad. So.
Oh, true. He's gonna be here for an hour. Nice.
Yep, so he's going to be here for the last hour. So let's pause for a second while he gets in and gets everything set up. I'm going to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Chat, give me a couple minutes. We're going to continue trying to figure out who exactly is sending us these weird visions and why the Blossoming Thorn is so important to, well, do it whoever thinks is important. We really don't know anything about why we're here, other than the vision said come hang out here and do stuff and help some woman do something. Hooray for a sense of direction. BRB. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. I had to pee real bad. And, now we can continue our Pathfinders unmolested. And added bonus, I'm pretty sure that looks like a Shenmue 36.
Oh, baby.
Well, I shouldn't be afraid dicks.
We did it. We got a Shenmue.
3 hours late, but he's still here.
Oh, if you only knew.
All
On a
right. Well,
scale of 1 to mad.
can rip-a-roo over there.
How mad are you?
Wait, what? Man,
It's like rip-a-roo.
I don't know who Peru is and why am I?
Not you, Shenmue.
Oh,
What'd I do?
Shenmue is mad. Let's
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to mad.
Fucking furious would be probably more, for the sake of not dropping things I can't take back, I should, refrain from commenting on such situations.
Fair enough. So, Shenmue, just to catch you up, we are currently in the Hyena Princess's mansion.
What?
And
Eating probably not people.
Eating what the slaves brought you, which looks like delicious steaks, and is at least an 80% chance it's not people. And
Cornel's eating it.
trying to figure out how to break into a slave, well, or what are you gonna do about a slave fortress the visions keep directing you to save whoever it is that's directing you here. You really don't have a whole lot of actual guidance on what you're doing here.
You know that chick that keeps talking to us when all those funny pictures happen in our heads? Yeah, we think she's here.
Funny pictures.
Yeah, the
So
funny
anyway.
moving pictures.
You guys receive your meals from the slaves, and what are you doing now?
I guess Cornel's gonna eat his meal. I'm not eating.
I was gonna
Yeah,
sit
I'm
down
just-
and fucking eat.
I'll just concentrate the magic, the tech magic greater as long as I can, just in case.
I mean,
I want-
I'm sure Gagor and Darius have had some pretty nasty meals in their time, but I feel like if there's a possibility of it being a person,
It's more of a joke. It's a
Yeah,
it's
No,
really,
it's not.
yeah.
It's
No,
a
it's
really
not.
fine steak.
well, then,
I
It
doubt-
could be people.
Like-
No,
Ground?
no, dead serious. I doubt she would eat people because all the people that she could get here to turn into steaks would be gross meat. Like, it would not be quality meat to eat any of the people that are around here.
I don't know,
Probably
man.
not though. They're all very thin.
Yeah.
Or muscular. Which makes it really
Well,
tough.
well, they aren't here. Those are at the Blossoming Thorn. Here it's
I'm
just
just saying that
very,
the slave people
very
in
thin,
general.
probably malnourished women as the exclusive stock breed here in her mansion.
So have some steak, Darius.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Why you
That's
gotta
fu-
be rude to our guests?
You know
To
what the
our
best part is
host?
too?
You're
Like I've
the
been
guest.
working all day.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
sit down. I got a meatloaf in front of me, like for real in the real life, and we're getting fed people.
It's not people.
I'm losing my appetite.
Are you saying you would need a person if you had the opportunity? You
I'm not
really had
sure
to think
that-
about
No.
that. Jesus Christ. Like,
Well, it's
No,
the way
no.
you froze. It's the way you phrased it. I said,
If you had a friend,
if I had a friend,
and that friend had
Ground
their
chuck.
leg amputated,
okay,
and the doctor said it was okay to do this, and they said, hey man, I'm gonna cook up my leg, and as my friend, I want you to eat it.
how about
With
the
me.
court, though?
no,
Didn't
Not a
worry about
cannibal.
that part. Also, what friend
Omra-
is it? 'Cause if
Omrath
it's
will
Joe,
make
it might
an
make me
audible,
stupid.
disgusted noise at their conversation and get up and get ready to
Omra
leave.
hears the conversation that we're having out of character in character.
Yes.
Anyway, I was like back in character. What are you? Coral's gonna sit down and eat the steak. Everyone else is currently just standing around awkwardly holding their steaks.
I'm gonna.
No,
I'm,
like,
I'm
I
also
would-
give my steak to Omrath. And
I
Omrath,
also-
sorry, to
no.
Cornel.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand there with Omrath.
Yeah,
Colonel's
I'm
gonna
not
eat-
standing. I sat down just
Colonel's
to.
gonna eat
Yeah, I'm
two
not gonna
steak.
sit. I'm gonna stand there. I'm your guard.
Yeah.
I'll be thankful for the meal, but I'm not hungry.
You can turn into a leprechaun there.
So all of my other guards are just like, no, thank you, not eat. And the ones that's like, stuff me, follow me, let's go.
It's just fucking
Can we
stuffing his
can we
his
get that as a fucking
goddamn
quote, right?
ranger mouth.
Stuff me full of meat.
God
So
damn
you
it.
see the woman on the couch at the other end of the room is just kind of looking over at what is realistically a bizarre shit show of social ineptitude between Cornel eating like 3 people's worth of steaks, everyone else either standing around just on guard. I mean, Gratian doing fine. Grigor hasn't spoken, and I imagine is literally just standing here with a steak in his hand because he's not saying when he's doing anything. And Darius and
I'm not eating
Gratian
shit.
just literally everybody giving all of these steaks they just got to one person
yeah.
who is just going completely ham.
I hope it's
Hey
tasty.
man, it's the only perk this job has.
Free
And
food.
Omrath just kind of sitting and
I'm just
looking
relaxing.
around.
Yeah.
Sitting, doing weird hand motions.
No, I'm just concentrating now. I'm like holding the magic. I'm not
Yeah, you
constantly
already
doing a
cast
hand
it. Now
motion.
you-
Yeah,
well,
I'm
you
not
still have to
constantly
hold. You still have to hold your hand out towards like where you're detecting. So you're kind of just like holding a hand out and just looking back and forth around the room.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep
And
it for a
this-
little while,
this-
obviously, before letting it go.
Fulman's just kind of watching this spectacle. And
We're
as you're
we're
looking back
12th
at what the
level
colonel's
adventurers.
eating, after about a minute or so, she speaks up. Says, "Don't know what you're hoping to detect in here. I promise it's not going to kill you. Your friend's fine."
That's fair. Just always
Just
like
gonna give a thumbs up with a
Got
mouthful
emotions
of
to a
meat.
colonel with like 3 different steaks in his mouth right now.
Anyway, I'll wave that. I'll wave it off and like let go of the magic. Just always being cautious.
It's fair. Can't be too cautious these days, especially not in a city like Okino. I don't blame you. How do you look like you're from here?
Not at all. Pretty far
Because
away,
we're not
actually.
gnolls.
That's more than Knowles from Okino, but
It's mostly
look-
gnolls.
northern.
Well, I don't know that I look very northern, but they
So
might.
she kind of nods towards Gratian, who probably looks the most Varisian out of the group.
Yeah.
Saying as being a half elf would only really enhance that kind of. I literally can't think of words today. It's almost like Transylvanian features.
I mean, it's gypsy.
Like gypsy Transylvanian. The super gypsy's Kalashite. Varisian's also kind of gypsy, but more gaunt. I guess more the slender and pale. More the kind of exactly what Gratian looks like. As she says, it's quite a journey to have a Varisian come down here. I assume you don't look like mercenaries to me.
We're not. We're looking for something. Not here, just on our way to something.
As is everyone. Coin, I'd assume.
Hmm.
And just kind of takes a sip from her, again, wildly oversized wine goblet.
Hilariously big goblet.
You get the sense that she is at least mildly tipsy. Says, well, suppose it's not even my place to talk to paying customers, but do you seem, again, different, if that's not too entirely forward.
No, not at all. And it's no problem to ask. Are you
And she,
nearly finished, Cornel?
Ooh.
Okay. You finish up, sweet. Yeah.
So you guys,
Just
Cornel
wait.
finishes his pile of steaks, and you guys head out, I assume. Back to your little campsite out of town, which is needed so much a campsite as you find a particularly flat patch of dirt and laid on some bedrolls.
Yes.
That's
Needs a
about all.
bedroll.
Or just lay on the ground if you're Cornel.
No,
and
he
just,
doesn't
or
sleep.
just keep watch.
He just stands
Cornel.
there.
Just sit there and stare at Okino overnight,
I'll sit down.
just to make
Don't
sure
need to stand
nobody's
the whole
gonna
time.
do horrible stuff to you.
Like that
So-
scene in Terminator 2 where he just stands at the window all night long until it's morning. Doesn't move.
That's keep watch.
Yeah,
That's
literally.
exactly keep watch.
So you wake up, or in Cornel's case, continue existing the next morning.
Implying
And,
being asleep means you don't exist anymore.
No, I'm serious. He hasn't slept in like
I
what feels
literally-
like forever.
I don't think he has slept since the asylum.
Yeah, since he realized what Kept Watch actually did, he's like, oh, I can
It
just
was a
stop.
little bit after the asylum.
When did you sleep after the asylum? Did you sleep in town? Like in Thornton?
Yeah, because we were attacked by the assassin
oh, yeah,
one
huh.
night.
And that's when you
Oh,
stopped
yeah.
sleeping forever.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
after you got
Uh-huh.
jumped. Oh yeah, right, Reese's Pieces. I forgot about her.
Yes.
Probably the best joke I've ever made. in
That
this
was
campaign.
probably the best in character joke I think anybody has made ever.
Oh, that was
Reese's
actually in character.
Pieces was amazing.
So
My
wait,
name
does
was-
that confirm the Reese's Pieces are in this universe?
Well,
I mean,
they are.
I guess it's not.
I mean, they're probably
Yeah,
decayed
you-
by
you
now.
They
invented them.
absolutely are.
Yeah.
We know they are. Everything on Earth is in this universe.
Oh yeah, boom,
Yeah,
roasted.
everything exists, lol. Anyway, the next morning, assuming you guys have nothing you want to do in Okino, which I doubt you do, you kind of just hang out, mill around until noon, and then head over to the Blossoming Thorn.
Everybody else gets really hungry because they didn't eat any of the food.
I'm not hungry.
I mean,
I'm
you have
chilling.
your own food, I would assume.
Yeah. You just turn into a rat and we can eat you. Actually, not cannibalism.
Or like a cow, but
Nah.
you know, whatever.
I'm trying to fit the city.
Yeah, fair.
I guess a dog, really.
So,
Would
You
that
guys-
be frowned upon?
head up to the
They're hyenas that
blossoming
keep
thorn.
around.
And as you reach it, out in front, Nyano is already there to greet you with another pack of her 4 personal guard. I don't know if any of you are capable of telling if these are the same gnolls she had yesterday or not, because they probably just all kind of look like brown hyena people to you.
That's fucking
Which-
racist.
Racist.
I was gonna say sounds racist, probably because it is, because they're just kind of all brown hyena people, and they basically look more or less the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying you're people, so it can only be so racist.
But as you walk up towards the blossoming thorn, she raises a hand, and with the clank, the portcullis starts to open up again. Says, "Welcome, Omereth. So, I am positive that you will be pleased with not only the physical quality of our stock, but if you're looking for the highest grade of slaves, we make sure to keep all here inside the thorn in perfectly fit conditions." And she motions towards the building itself, where 2 of the guards head out in front and are already like halfway down the tunnel, and 2 of them stay near Niano at all times.
So, are we to follow them?
Yeah, she just motions for you to head in. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'll just give us a map here, and you can already from here you can see through the entryway and set your health and everything to full, obviously, because that's all from the dream lines. You can see through the entryway here into the main area of the thorn itself, and you can see a large sandy courtyard in the middle through this entry hall that's got some shade from just the sides of the massive building itself, and in the middle are a huge number of slaves, at least a dozen of them, being guarded by a group of Null soldiers, some of which have whips in hand and some of which are more liberal about using them. But the slaves are all shackled to a line of chains that are posted into the ground and appear to be paired up, and most of them are paired up in fights against each other. Some unarmed, some with small daggers. Some of the rest of them, a number of which appear to be mildly injured, are off to the side, either resting or working on just various strength training regimens. None of them seem to be allowed to fully rest. Even the injured are still at least like doing push-ups or something in the corner. But the motions for you to head in with with the other 2 of your guards.
Whoa.
They would lead the way up into the thorn itself. And then step to the side to allow you to pass. Here you are.
Ugh, sorry. Just late. Tired.
Sleepy Beb. What the fuck?
What?
Oh, it's just me that sees it. He's like in between the lines. Like he's not actually not
Oh
in the
yeah,
box.
because I tried to move him, he tried to move at the same time because it was taking forever. So I
I
just
am the rules.
Yeah, like he's literally outside of.
I do what I want. You know, you can
He's
just hold
out-
Alt and put your token wherever, right?
Oh wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's magic.
That's so
Holy
cool.
shit.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Alt turns off all snapping.
Oh, cool. I can go away.
So as you walk into the main area here, it's a large open sandy area, but there's not a ton of space around these fighting pairs of slaves. And like I said, most of the ones that are off to the side are some degree of injured. There's about a dozen slaves and nearly that many gnolls grouped around overseeing them in the middle. And Yano says, we have them fight, both to keep them in shape, keep their strength high, and also to see if any possess any real aptitude for the sport. It'd be a waste to send a perfectly good fighter off to work some meaningless task carrying leathers when they could fight in the pits on the other side of town for the entertainment of all and perhaps the coin of, well, myself. Besides, I'm not going to sell off perfectly good warriors. They could be making me money continually, rather than a single transaction. Unfortunately, what I have here is the majority of the stock I currently have, but as you can see, they are all fit and top condition, and we take great pains to keep them so.
Very good. I'll motion my guys like closer around me, and I'll step where Gratian is. They can just stand like around me. So I like, because obviously I don't know who we're looking for. I'll just ask any of them if anybody looks familiar, or anything like that.
None of them do. These are, again, almost exclusively very large, swarthy men, mostly human. A couple of half-orcs, couple of dwarves, but they're all pretty large dudes. There's no strange old Kelishite ladies among their number.
Fair enough. These all do look wonderful, but again, I was curious if there's anything else that you have that is not these. If not, I understand.
As you all walk into this main room here around Omereth, like your guards doing your cover, the four of you that are not Omereth, your vision kind of flickers for a second. Looks like you're inside a stone cell. And you hear the voice again. You've made it. Find me here. Soon. We must stop its growth. Come to my side. Help me. Our joining is at hand. That's just a brief instant. It's much shorter than the visits you'd experienced prior.
Did you get that too, brother?
I did, brother. It looks like we're here.
And what should we do about it?
I don't know. Call an exorcist?
Is there a problem with your guards, Omereth? Your partners seem to have concerns.
No, there's nothing wrong with them. They're a little strange bunch, but nothing.
Just kind of eyeing Darius and Grigor a little oddly.
No, just that you said these were all warriors, and I don't really see warriors. I was wondering if you had something maybe hidden under lock and key with a little bit more impressive.
She kind of narrows her eyes and says, as I said, there is very little stock at the moment. Any others I had would be working in the pens on the other side of that door. If you're looking for hardier numbers or something different, and she nods to a couple of the two guards that are on the front. They head up to this door and flank on either side and just kind of look back. So you can head through there and see the pens, I suppose, but my normal cells are again empty. I had just finished a fairly large sale.
Yes.
And they open the door.
Will squat around me, not very loudly. We're just gonna motion to a couple of them, saying that I want them to keep her interested. So I'm not just walking past what is supposed to be her best stuff. And after that, I'll point at just two of the nearest ones and say that I might like those. I don't want them to fight anymore because I don't want them to be any more damaged. And I want to go look in the other room before I come back for them.
And she whistles and barks something at Noel to one of the nearby guards, and he steps up and stops them from fighting, and motions them over just towards the rest of the group over here that's just
Chilling.
training. No,
Yeah.
there's no chilling. I guess it's chilling on the scale of fighting to not fighting.
Like literally,
It's chilling.
to like literally fighting. All right, and then make my way over.
And as you approach here, you can see that when she
Lord.
says pens, she's not kidding. There's 3
Yeah.
huge wooden cages up against the north wall. And against the outer walls, piles of animal dung and assorted refuse and neat little piles some of the slaves are tending to. A few of the slaves, all the slaves in here have either brooms or other large implements and are currently busy cleaning up loose straw and bedding and bits of meat and blood and trying to keep the area as clean as they can. And it's housing a lot of very interesting creatures. You can see 2 massive dire tigers sharing a pen barely large enough for one of them next to a creature that, I imagine Omrath would recognize as a dragon because they're uncommon but not that rare. It's almost a chimera. Features of a lion, but the wings and scales of a brass dragon.
Wow.
Pushed back in the towards the back of this furthest cell. The cell on the far right is currently empty and has a few slaves inside actually cleaning it up. A row of posts on the western side of the room has a half dozen camels tied up, just chewing on stuff, doing camel things. And a couple of slaves over there currently also taking care of them, keeping them clean and as pristine as possible.
Just keep moving over, motioning to them to just keep looking and seeing if they notice anything.
And as you continue around, the hallway leads into another series of small cages. These ones are made of simple iron bars, and they all appear to be empty. And there are a couple of gnolls here overseeing the slaves that are cleaning the area, just the 2 standing to the wall there, but they just kind of stand and keep watch. Neither of them make any motion or anything towards the party. And Niano and her retinue do continue following. All of the cells here appear to be empty. Each one has not so much a cot as just a flat, maybe 5-foot long round piece of leather laid on the ground in the back, maybe a couple of them in a pile. She says, normally I would have much more stock here, but again, they have been sold and there's not much else back here that I can offer you. You've seen more or less all I have available, so I'm hoping that you're not looking for great numbers at this current moment. If you are, I will require a few weeks to rebuild a proper stock, and certainly we could strike some smaller deal now leading to a larger one later, I would assume. All the slaves who passed again have been very large and in shape, and none of them have been old women. We've seen no signs of anything that looks like the brief glimpse the 4 of you have gotten in a vision.
Yeah.
So what's behind the other
Is
door?
some kind
back
of
into
stairs
the-
or?
Yeah, these are
Oh.
stairs leading up higher. Also on the far side of the room over here, where it's got the block line of sight, there are 2... Well, you don't really know what it is. Could be a crate, could be a cage with a white tarp draped over them so you can't see inside at all.
I'll point at him and those.
Those aren't slaves. Those are personal entertainment of mine. Basilisks. They roam the deserts around here. I find them quite interesting and inspiring when slaves occasionally get ideas of their own, as they are wont to do. Their security here, though, is simply top-notch. You've seen the number of gnolls guarding the place, and, well, 2 crates of basilisks can dissuade nearly any escape attempt. I've had not one roam free and alive from the Blossoming Thorn, and only ever had to kill a few dozen to keep the rest in line over the many years I've been in business. There's nothing else upstairs that'll be of interest to you. That's simply the quarters for my guards and their kitchens and areas. All the slaves I have are here on the first floor.
I understand. I'll
So-
look to them to see what.
So they're
the
like
party community.
telepaths then, or would we know that what he was talking about? How did the phrasing the boat? I can't repeat it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, his personal entertainment.
Hers.
They sounded like they were telepaths.
The basilisks?
Yeah,
Are you drunk?
possibly. I guess.
Do you know what a basilisk is? I mean, it's a fairly common, like, fantasy
Oh, no.
creature.
Well, no.
Have you? It's like the thing.
Have you seen the
have you
second
seen
Harry Potter movie?
Yeah, it's like.
I've never seen any Harry Potter movies because I'm.
Have you
straight.
played Dark Souls?
No, I played the first one.
The little froggy-looking dudes that curse you with the smoke.
Yeah, that's a basilisk. They're
that's a
like
version of a
little
basilisk.
reptiles that, if they look at you, I mean, depending on the version, if they breathe on you, or if they look at you, or if they cut you, or whatever,
You
turn
bastards! Like I should know this shit.
I'm honestly kind of surprised you don't know what a basilisk is. I mean, that's like not knowing what a dragon is. I mean, it's just a pretty common fantasy animal.
Yeah.
I have honestly never the way it was described to me, it like as you were talking, I don't know. I got the idea that it was a group of telepaths for some reason. I don't know why, but I
No, if you were confused, Umrath would be like, no, and tell
That's
you.
not what that is.
But because I mean, realizing Darius might
Probably
not.
a
Darius would
concussion.
probably have at least heard of them. But yeah, and Pathfinder, they're lizards that their gaze turns into stone, which would explain why their cages are covered with tarps.
Yeah.
So, okay, now they're like Medusa.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what a
Yes.
basilisk is. It's like a Medusa lizard. Yeah, it's
They're reptiles that turn you to stone.
yeah, it's
Different ways, and they look different depending on what they're from. I actually don't know what a Pathfinder basilisk looks like. I assume snake.
it looks no, it's more of a lizard. They have legs. Pathfinder basilisk has 8 legs actually. They're really weird. They're like lizard spiders.
That's
Yeah, I've
terrifying.
never heard of
Oh,
that.
they're
before.
like,
That
they're
is-
like
that
they're almost
sentence
like
was
rhinos
so
'cause they're
fucking
muscular.
scary.
They kind of look like the dongos from Zelda,
Yeah.
just with 8 legs. And yeah, they look at you and you turn to. They're very spiny.
That's really fucked up. I guess you live, you learn. Okay.
Yeah, well, now you know. Oh yeah, someone linked it in chat. That's a.
I
that's a
see.
basilisk.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah,
yeah,
you,
that's fucked up. Like. a
Oh yeah,
chimera.
right. The fucking. It's
That's
like
so spooky.
it's like a Komodo dragon, really.
Oh, they're kind of cute in a weird way.
How?
Because their heads are so big and like they have like a dog shape. Like,
I didn't get any kind of cuteness from that.
Well, you
Oh,
know
we did.
shit about
But
being
anyway.
cute. Piece of shit.
So basically,
Alright, fuck
so-
me then.
so
Bet you
Matt-
probably don't want to fuck the dog lady either. You wouldn't know anything about style.
Oh my god. Anyway, in case
You know what they
Niano
say about
says,
basilisks.
as you explain what a basilisk is to Darius, Niano says, he just kind of ignores that conversation. Says, I assume.
They're all
She doesn't
stoners.
I assume, and she sneezes very loudly.
She says, I assume my stock is more than pleasing to you. So, my prices are high, of course, but as you've seen, you are receiving surely more than you would with any other provider. Much sturdier, much healthier stock. I'll be able to serve you diligently for years to come. How many heads were you looking for, Amareth?
A great more many than this, unfortunately.
She looks great more many. I have nearly 24 here. You're looking to staff it and not my place to question, but well, and she kind of looks back to her guards and motions towards the farther and back towards the pens. Says, well, I have a little more, but I don't know if I'll be able to match such a large order on demand, like I said. But follow me.
Of course.
And she heads back across. And as she gets over here, one of the guards draws his falchion, and both slaves immediately sidle back away from the camel they're working with. They head over here, and Niano approaches his door and opens this one, which leads into another room. And she heads inside, and there are a couple of guards against the back wall, and you can see as the door opens, the two gnolls are kind of hunched over, like almost sitting on the ground, just kind of chattering amongst themselves. As soon as the door opens, they both look over, like kind of raise an eyebrow, see it's Niano, and just bolt up into attention immediately. Like they weren't doing anything else the whole time. As you enter here, there's another rack of another nearly a dozen slaves chained up against the back wall here. And there's more than pictured because there's more than one of them in most of the squares. There's probably more than a dozen, actually, 15 or 16 of them chained up against the back wall. And a massive brass bell hanging here in the room. And she steps back. I mean, take Gregor with us. She steps in the middle of the room and just kind of motions towards them. And these seem to be... I mean, they're still all the same style. They all look like they're fairly large men, but the ones that are in here look like they're either somewhat less healthy or just somewhat less burly. And she says, these stock I'm still working on. They're not quite up to my normal standards, but if you're looking to purchase a larger force immediately, I could give you a discounted rate for these ones I have here. Still, even outside of peak perfection, they're much better than the usual rabble you'll find in the flesh fairs.
Fair enough, but...
And these ones are all in like a line of manacles just chained to the
Yeah.
floor, like they're actually sitting down, they can't go anywhere. And they all kind of, as you enter, just sort of look at the floor or look away. Just
Yeah.
try to just look small and insignificant as best
Yeah,
as they can.
useless, yeah. No, I don't need the discounted rate. I'd much rather have better stock, and I'm willing to wait the time. And this is truly everything you have.
This is all. I've no more stock. As I said, I will need a few weeks to arrange resupplies. I should have shipments coming in, hopefully by the start of the next week, and we can discuss. Surely you've an eye for proper talent in your slaves, I can see. And as you're looking for more, I assume you've the coin to pay for them. We can reach a deal, I believe, but I do thank you for your willingness to wait.
Of course.
I'm gonna start walking down the aisle, like looking closely at each of them.
Fair
The
enough.
majority of them don't acknowledge you, but every now and then a couple of them just kind of look at you, look back at you as you walk down, and just kind of look over the slaves. Again, these are all they're all large men. There's nothing here even close to resembling a small old Kelishite woman.
I'm gonna point down to here. What's behind that door?
And she turns to you and says, at the moment, nothing. Every now and then I come across either a different sort or a slave that possesses some amount of aptitude. It's where I hold those who either prove themselves worthy fighters or special orders. But there's nothing there for now. And she just kind of looks at, stares at Grigor while he's over there. Not breaking his gaze.
Huh. I want to roll the thing. I know that's sense motive, yeah.
Sense motive,
I know.
the thing.
I knew. I was hoping you knew what I meant, because I
That
was
thing
like,
we never do. I want to do that.
yeah.
Hey, I
so-
rest
I mean, she's like eyeing the shit out
every
of
other
him.
week. maybe.
She's not gonna. Oh wow, I
She's
literally 0. God
super
damn.
eyeing him, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
you got it.
Thank you,
19
dice roll.
fucking thing. Oh Jesus!
There's the. I've been rolling a lot of ones recently.
Let me just do what I do. How about that? Alright.
Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
I mean, it seems sincere. Except
Yeah.
Darius. Darius, you get the feeling that she is very. It's very directly not being
That's
honest.
like that.
All right.
Yeah.
If I pick that up from her, I'm gonna look at Grigor, and being that we're brothers, he's gonna realize that I got the inclination that she's not telling
Just
the truth.
give him the fucking
Yeah.
look.
Just
Well,
like,
look.
don't
Yeah.
know about that lady.
Yeah. Truly, are you sure?
And she looks at you and she turns around and looks back at Omereth. then back to Grigor. And her smile is very much gone.
Uh-oh.
I'm smiling very broadly. I'm
She says
positive.
to Grigor, she says to Grigor, not Umrith. What is it that you're looking for, boy?
I'll know when I see it.
And she approaches and she walks up to this door on the left here. And the guards just kind of position themselves both behind Grigor, just by the bell, looking downwards. And both the regular guards in here are still at attention, but they're kind of like their eyes are looking around like, what's going on here? I don't know how to respond to this, really. And she walks up to the door.
I'm gonna stay back by this door.
She walks up to this door,
It's gonna be
turns to the
trap, isn't
door,
it? Just like
and
reopen
puts,
it's a fireball and I die.
puts one claw on it, says, Niano. And then reaches down and towards the knob, and with her other hand pulls a key off of her belt and unlocks the door and pushes it open. And inside,
I wanna see.
she steps it aside. You see
That's a very old woman.
a very old Kelishite woman sitting towards the back wall, just kind of against the corner of the cage. And she is bound with 3 different sets of chains and shackles, keeping her against the back wall of the cage. Grigor, you would recognize her immediately as the
Right.
woman you saw superimposed over that pinkish alien in the
Right.
dream. And she turns to you and meets your gaze and just kind of looks in your eyes for a second and then smiles. And Yano is still just staring at Grigor, her gaze boring a hole in the side of his head. She
Be
seems
very impassive and look at the dog and ask her, "She's just an old woman. Why have her in so many chains?"
And she turns to Umreth. 10,000 gold.
10,000 gold for her. I'll look to the party and Ocean Cornel over, or whoever wants to come close enough. They need to ask about money because they don't know how much is in the bag.
Nope.
Not 10,000, or no, we're not gonna pay it.
Both.
Both?
Yeah, both is good.
Okay, fine. I mean, again, like I'm just curious.
How about, what do we have? How about that? Like, I'm sure we would have an idea at the point without even talking to each other that we probably would know.
I can't.
I mean, after giving her the 1,000 before, we've got 1,400 almost. We spent most of it.
So 500. Offer her 500.
Okay, I'm not gonna offer anything.
1 copper piece.
What?
2 copper pieces.
Ooh, copper pieces.
No. What exactly makes her that expensive?
Your interest in her.
I could have told you that,
See?
Omara.
5 exquisitely equipped, experienced adventurers here arrive on my doorstep seeking her. I don't know what it is about her, but I knew clearly she had some form of import, and truly I'd almost given up on her. But then you arrive, almost as if preordained by Providence. Don't know how you know that she's here or what she means to you, but it seems to me like it's worth at least 10,000 gold.
Well, we can't meet that.
Oh, I'm sure you can. On the contrary, and she points at Grigor's cape and then Gratian's rapier and armor. If it was that valuable, you could make the means. I'm firm. 10,000 gold, and I believe we've no more to discuss. Now, and she raises her hand and points towards the door you came in through.
Wanna look at some? This is gonna be
And then
terribly
reaches out
miserable.
and closes the store again.
She left her guards up there, right?
Yes, there's the 2 gnolls here, and then her personal guard, which are a bit larger, are definitely here as well.
I'll raise my hand and just do like a come here motion to everyone, and just lean in and say it again. No, we will not be paying that, and give you one of these.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to be scary. With
Uh,
all of these, with a level
intimidate?
12 party, yeah, with a level 12 party closing in behind me, and regards not next to her. She's definitely in a corner. I want that old lady. Give me a dog lady.
I mean,
Darius, are you coming forward?
I'm staying right here.
Alright, well, these guards are going to push past you to here as you lean into her, and they seem to be somewhat concerned. One of the other regular gnolls looks like he's, again, not sure what to do, and he steps forward and picks up a large mallet that's on the ground, and he just kind of holds it and looks back towards the guards that walk back there. Just kind of holds it towards the bell, like he's not sure if he's supposed to be doing something or not. He's unclear whether he's supposed to be ringing the bell. But Niano just expression is completely unchanged. She looks back at you and says, "Well, unfortunate we could not do business. Now, I have other matters to attend to today. I believe you've taken enough of my time." And again, motions towards the door, and the guards have their hands on their falchions.
If he goes to ring that bell, I want to stunning punch him.
I mean, fun fact, there's something for that. It's called that.
What are you doing?
He's fighting, I guess.
Rolling
So
initiative.
I guess they're rolling.
Yeah, I'm not
initiative,
saying
'cause
I'm not saying I'm
Oh.
fighting her, but that's what that is. Is like if he
Oh.
goes to swing, you have to see if you can punch him.
Oh yeah, there is initiative for that.
Yeah. I mean, fucking party. Like, we obviously need her desperately bad, and this woman is not gonna.
You tell her what we can afford, and if that's not good enough, then I
Wouldn't be
think
the first time we turned to fever, you right?
I'd rather not. I mean, we could just sell some of our stuff and buy her outright instead of having to kill everybody in the place.
They're slavers.
I mean,
You hear Grigor,
sorry.
you hear Alvarado, you would know it'd be Grigor because he's the closest, just one you just saw. You hear the old lady's voice in your head. There's no vision, it's just as if she's directly communicating with you telepathically. This body is frail. The princess knows it's much more coherent than the scattered bits you got in the visions. The princess knows I'm valuable now. One swing and I would be gone. Do not proceed down this path. The risk is not worth the reward. Surely there must be another way. The guards here are simple. Dogmen. It would be much easier to sneak me from the fort than it would to protect me in a fighting retreat. And only Grigor hears this.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, meanwhile, still just like, get out. We're done. Go. I'm keeping your deposit.
Bitch.
And Yano says,
Nyano,
I'll not... What?
I apologize for my employer's rudeness. You are right, of course. It does mean a great deal to him.
And she narrows her
Now-
eyes because her bullshitometer is going off the charts right now.
Now, in terms of actual liquidity, right now we are somewhat sparse. However, I do propose a trade. You said you wanted a sum of 10,000 gold, yes?
That's correct.
So I offer you trade, and I'll point down to the shoes I'm wearing. These boots. Now, obviously, there is a small amount of transaction loss due to you'd have to find a buyer for them. However, I'm sure you will realize that these boots here are of great worth.
And she waves a hand. I deal in coin and flesh. If they're of great worth, surely you can find a purchaser in the city itself. This one will still be here when you have the coin. Now, I'll not ask again. And she nods at both of her guards, and they both draw their falchions. They don't swing at you, but they draw their falchions. She says, I'm a very busy woman. I have other matters to attend to.
Which I'm sure you pursue doggedly, yes.
I don't want to laugh at your jokes.
I'll look it over. I propose that we do as the filing says and leave her well alone. We can
Understood.
discuss our plan of approach from here.
I'll just put both my hands away, letting my cloak fully go over me, and turn to leave.
The guards would move enough to the side that you could go, and then they would follow you back.
You say you... I skimmed over it because I didn't realize, but you said you would offer flesh and trade.
If you have somehow some stock of equal value, perhaps.
Worth more, I should think. I'll go up and clasp my dear brother on the shoulder.
Dumb idiot.
Hmm?
I can see someone in here speaks your language.
She
A monk
raises an
bred
eyebrow
from
as
the
you-
finest stock.
Here's an eyebrow. She kind of looks at Darius. And she steps up. Says, and just kind of looks Darius up and down. I feel like this one would be trouble for me. No.
No?
No. I know not of your capabilities, and were you a willing slave, of course, this would be more than a fair trade, but one like this I would not accept without him being mentally broken, without some form of guarantee of control. I can see from the group of you that you are all quite skilled individuals, and I feel like this ruse of yours would be quite simple for him to escape of his own volition. No matter how many guards I put near his cell. Now, for this deal, I'll take coin or standard stock and none else.
If that be your wish. I'll start working out.
I'll just follow behind him.
You guys bouncing?
Yeah.
I'll say to her, surely our deposit will keep the lady safe.
She will be here if you wish to return for her. That much I can guarantee you. I do hope
guarantee
that we
safety?
can reach an agreement. Well, of course, I've no reason to do anything else. I'm just putting these back because I'm gonna move stuff back over here. I have no reason
Alright.
to bring her any harm. She's, as I now see, clearly valuable. I had been,
Property.
of course, and I provide none but the best. She will be in this same condition when you return. Now, if you'll excuse me, if you have the funds to make the exchange, you are more than welcome to meet me at my estate. I don't travel to the fortress itself on many occasions, unless it is to conduct business such as this. So, you know where to find me.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course.
And she would stay inside by the pens as the guards escorted you back out of the fortress, and the portcullis closed behind you.
Can I take a look from where we're having the had a conversation at the lock?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you don't even need to roll perception. You can see the lock on the door to the room with the old woman is not anything that will be beyond your capacity to pick. It's just a fairly standard lock.
All right.
So, Princess Niano does not seem to be terribly easy to pull some sort of ruse on. As a fairly respected slave trader, she has done this song and dance at least a few times before.
You gotta respect the effort, though.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Yeah, that would have been dope. It's like,
Giving you-
alright, chain up the monk. It's like, okay.
Yeah, if we were open with that, that would have been a great one.
And you have been given the price of 10,000 gold for the woman.
So how about them fight pits?
Why would we go to the...
Trial by combat.
Hey, make a bunch of money fighting stuff.
Oh, I mean, wow. That would work. I
mean,
feel like
it's
you
not
guys
terrible.
That's kind of why I thought she would go for it, because, I mean,
it would make her a lot of money in the
pretty
pits.
clearly tell I'm a monk. Like,
I mean,
shit.
yeah, and that's the
I mean, I don't
problem.
know about a
Pretty
monk.
easy for him.
You've also very
mean,
clearly,
again-
clearly come to her under false pretenses, and she no longer has any amount of trust in this. So
Yeah.
she's
So, I mean,
assuming this is some
even
sort
if
of
she-
trick. She can tell maybe
Yeah.
not exactly what you can do, but that you're about a fucking 12th level party, and that her
You're
dog
scary.
people probably are not going to be able to stop you from doing whatever it is you want to do.
Doing what we want.
Like
Yeah.
she has lived long enough to be aware that things like teleport exist, and that if she lets you in here, it would
Damn
not be
it.
unlikely that you could pull some sort of shenanigans. Which brings us to the question of, well, what is the plan?
I think we should just buy her. Find a way to buy her. Do it right.
There is no right. We're in a slave town.
Yeah, we're buying a... So, what is right? Breaking the slave free, or buying it because buying is technically the more moral
Well,
thing?
we're
when it's
kind of
different
like in a
Is it
moral
really more
conundrum here.
morally?
in a regular transaction. You couldn't hear me over him.
Yeah, no, I'd say regular transaction seems the simplest. But I'll relate to the party what she told me.
Yeah, not to fight.
That
I
still
mean,
begs the problem is,
figure
yeah, we're getting one slave out, but there's a lot of other slaves in there.
no, that's
Can
not what
you-
I'm getting at. What I'm
Can you
getting at
teleport
is
into the room and teleport out?